to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's an opening ceremony, so I was like, are we supposed to make a big deal out of it? Got me off guard. It's like a ceremonial.
We need music.
Right?
A parade coming in.
Yeah, it's an opening ceremony.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Show us on wait a minute. Okay, right now, let's hand it over to roll call.
Mr. Officer? Mr. Espada?
Present.
Councilwoman Bidey?
Here.
Mr. Carano? Mr. East?
Present virtually.
Commissioner Hill?
Here.
Mr. J?
Present.
Mr. Long?
Here.
And Chair Sheedy?
All right, here.
You have the floor.
All right, thank you so much. Madam Clerk, I'm going to send it back to you for public comment.
We do have public comment. We have a few that are on Zoom at this time.
Okay, and I think this is going to be attached. I'm actually going to move a couple of agenda items up because we have Jesse at the legislature. And then there is an item that I wanted to move up for public comment, and that's item E1. So we will take item E1 and E2 out of order, just so everyone knows. Okay, back to you.
Okay, I'm not sure who's gonna be first. Maybe, is that Carol?
Go.
Carol Chaplin?
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
Nice to see all of you. Thank you, Chair Shivi and the board for allowing public comment this morning. I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you. As I prepared some comments for today, I found myself with actually a list of transportation roles. As a member of the RTIA Board of Trustees, and thank you to the RSCVA for allowing me to represent you and the region on this board, by the way. Also a founding member of the Lake Tahoe Destination Stewardship Council, a board member of the South Shore Transportation Management Association, recently on a committee to implement a pilot Emerald Bay shuttle program, as well as overseeing the South Tahoe Airport relationship. I know that transportation is a conversation we are all having in earnest. It is the #1 issue for Tahoe for both residents and visitors. Tahoe has different needs than Reno, but we all need to collaborate on a regional basis for solutions for Reno Sparks, Carson City, Carson Valley, and in Tahoe. Not having a connected transportation system puts Tahoe and Reno at a destination disadvantage. From our great airport to our mountain towns, we are not delivering a superior transportation experience. And as we know, Reno Tahoe certainly is a superior destination. So this is an opportunity and a challenge to add good transit to our quiver of assets. In South Shore, a catalyst for transit was the Event Center's obligation to contribute to a microtransit service. While the Tahoe Blue Event Center in State Line was only required to invest in seasonal microtransit service for its first 3 years of operation, public and private entities came together to provide year-round service in its first year. We expanded routes to include much of the South Shore, and this year we anticipate over 250,000 rides. The facility will contribute over $700,000 to the system this year, and many residents have become dependent on it for a ride to work. And a nod to our friends on North Shore for establishing TART Connect before us so that we could learn from that service. Lake Link's immediate success was a result of conversations like the ones you are having. I encourage you to continue the conversation around transit and connected transit. We may not be able to eat that elephant in one bite, but as a region, we need to nibble away, investing financially, employing creativity, and working together. I applaud this board for keeping the conversation going and look forward to working with you towards regional transit solutions. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Great to see you, by the way.
Thanks.
I think our next public comment is Blaine.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Blaine Johnson, for the record. I am the founder and owner of Sun Bear Realty and an Incline Village native. I'm here to speak in favor of the agenda item E2, which would allocate $250,000 in funding for the TART Connect. TART Connect has been an overwhelmingly successful and popular program and deserves ongoing funding from the RSVCA. It's important to note that this program serves local residents and not just visitors, with data showing that almost 60% of TART Connect rides are taken by local residents. TART Connect also enables people to utilize fixed route TART services as well. 80% of TART Connect riders also report using TART fixed route services, showing that TART Connect is additive, not competitive with existing transit services. Residents have spoken loud and clear that this is a service that they value and want more of and not less. A recent online petition asking for expanded morning hours of TART Connect received nearly 500 signatures, overwhelmingly from local residents. This is a program that expands transit options and helps keep cars off the road. Let me read one comment from that petition to illustrate why this matters. This is from Sarah in Incline Village. My dad is 85 and needs this service during the day to get around as he doesn't drive anymore. He really enjoyed using this service, not only for transportation, but for socialization as well. Organizations around the lake have made it very clear that there is a shared commitment to sustainability, and TART Connect is a perfect example of making that commitment more than lip service. I hope you will all vote to support this investment in a proven program for Washoe County residents and businesses and benefits of the Lake Tahoe as a whole. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thanks, Blaine.
And then we have, is that Pascal?
Yes.
And then we have Pascal.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. And good morning. My name is Pascal Dupuis, for the record. I am the General Manager of the Hyatt Regency Lake Tahoe, and I'm obviously also here to speak about in favor of the agenda item E2, which will allocate $250,000 in funding for the TART Connect program. Transportation and transit options in the Tahoe Basin are essential for the business, like the Hyatt, to thrive, both to improve the experience of our visitor who generate tax revenue and to support our workforce. Also, would like to mention that Hyatt is also a big contributor for the tax. The TART Connect program, which RSCVA has funded in the past, is incredibly successful and has demonstrated extremely strong return on investment. TART Connect has provided more than 1 million rides system-wide since its launch in 2021. The option of TART Connect allows visitors to easily move around the lake without having to add more cars to already congested roads and parkings. It's also enabled our workforce to get from home to their job efficiently and without adding to traffic burden. Also would like to mention that in Incline Village, we are one of the biggest employers, especially in the season of summer. I also, like Blaine did, I also would like to share an online comment from one of the petitions that we had, and it's from Logan. As a local college-age student, I have used the service to get necessary groceries instead of braving streets with no sidewalk, and know many others who have relied upon them to get to and from the places of employment in town. Employer and employee benefit for this service. Visitors and local benefit from this program. The whole of the region benefit from it. So I hope you will all vote in favor of supporting it, and we thank you for your consideration.
All right, thank you, Pascal. Love the Nevada accent. Merci.
My pleasure. Merci.
Next we have Sarah.
Good morning. Are you talking about Sarah Van Siclen?
Yes.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Sarah Van Siclen with the Truckee North Tahoe Transportation Management Association. Wanted to just speak in favor of TART Connect. The TNT TMA does marketing for TART and TART Connect, and this program has been incredibly important for visitors. I've gone out and spoken to so many visitors who, like previously mentioned, are no longer able to drive and use TART Connect to get around our region. This helps reduce our traffic connection by offering opportunities for people to get out of their car and connect to our greater TART bus transportation system. So I hope you consider voting in favor of continuing to fund this program today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sarah.
Looks like we have one more, Jamie.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jamie Wright, and I am with Placer County. I manage our transit division here and do the contracting on behalf of Washoe RTC for the TART Connect program. TART Connect certainly has been a tremendous addition to the transit network here in North Lake Tahoe. Both Placer County, Washoe County, and now the town of Truckee all have deployed the TART Connect system. And it's proven to be a very successful first mile, last mile connection to the larger TART fixed route services. But particularly in Washoe County, you guys have a zone that really offers a number of services within its zone itself. So even those that are not connecting out to the larger TART fixed route network are able to make seamless trips within the zone of the Washoe County zone to go to dinner, to visit beaches, to do all of their, perform all their recreational desired needs right there within that zone, as well as, the workforce, utilizing it for shopping, going to the post office, and going into work, as was mentioned by the Hyatt. So it certainly is a very successful program. Here in Placer County, this program is funded 100% with local funds. We use our transient occupancy tax to fund this program within Placer County. I know the town of Truckee is also using local dollars to fund the program. Unfortunately, with the federal funds that we receive in transit, it's just not enough to have a robust transit system as needed within the basin. So local self-help has been extremely important to continue these types of services. And with Washoe County, it is really no different. So I do hope that you guys will support the continued funding of this program today. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much.
No other public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. I will bring it back to the board. Okay, we're gonna open it up for discussion. I've got my readers. I think these are plus fours. Anyway, I wanted to share something really unique that happened to me last week. I was flying back from New York, and I sat next to this elderly woman, and she was super sweet. So we started talking, and she said that she's been coming to Reno for 20 years. And so obviously I was like, clearly we're doing something right. But she also told me that she stays in Reno, matter of fact, at the Peppermill for 5 days, and then they go to Incline for 3 days. She was actually she said, we love Reno. The one thing that we think that it lacks is sort of transportation. She's like very familiar, calls Reno her second home. They love to gamble. But she said, I feel like your infrastructure, when it comes to shuttle services and RTC, and she had some very, very valid points, and there were things that I did not think about. And being on the transportation board, okay, I need to hear this sort of tough feedback. And then she said, but when we go to Tahoe, and I had no idea what she was talking about, she said, we use the Pop-Tarts. I'm like, what? What's that? I had no idea. What is the Pop-Tarts? And it really opened my eyes. And then I started to think about it, because I know at this board, we sometimes can be territorial. We all want our properties to do well. I want my city to do well. No offense, Charlene, but I will fight you to the death. Just kidding. Right? We get very territorial, right? About those things. And I think actually puts us in a lane to be pretty short-sighted. And then I started to think about, obviously visitors are using that service. That was very stark. I think, I mean, how ironic was that? But we did talk about Reno and our transportation issues for about over an hour. And I did start to think, we do brand ourselves as Reno Tahoe. We don't brand ourselves as Reno. So I really believe that the collaboration is important. I also want to look at better ways because I know that we have had concerns about funding transportation. And I don't know what the outcome will be of the board, but I will commit to you that what I would ask for over at RTC is a match so that we're all regionally doing this together. And then, my concerns with fire in the region and those types of things. There was a very concerning article that just came out. And I really believe that we also have to think about safety and what that can also do to keep more cars off the road is very beneficial. And we also talk a lot about sustainability, and we kind of have to live up to those measures as well. So I'd like to hear discussion from the board, but it really did open my eyes and as hard as it sometimes is to be a good collaborator, like we kind of get territorial about, I call them teams, right? Like we're all on different teams and we really should be on the same team because we are Reno Tahoe. But if we just want to be Reno, then I think we can say, maybe this isn't worth looking at or funding, but I think we should collaborate, and we have been using the brand for a long time, and we're grateful for that because I think we use it, and Christina, you could probably confirm, but we use it in a lot of our selling points. And I really love the fact that she was like, oh yeah, we spend 5 days in Reno, and she said she does like Reno more, but anyway, that's beside the point. I was just kidding. She said Tahoe goes a little slower for her. Anyway, so I'm gonna bring it to the board and we'll open it up for comment. Oh, they do? Does someone have a presentation?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, well, I just made hopefully your job a little easier. Sorry, we didn't have a presentation last time, so I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, no worries. I
think that's
was on
helpful.
Zoom last year, but happy to come in person. I'm gonna try.
Charlie, we skipped.
1 and 2 ahead of Jesse, okay.
Yes, we skipped.
Okay, I didn't know where we were
Sorry.
putting them. That's okay.
Yeah, we took them out of order because Jesse
Okay, so
has to
E1 and E2 now.
get in and
Okay.
get out.
Just to clarify, though, is this a presentation on TAR? That's future partner?
This is part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep, so just so everybody's clear, we're on item E2. So E2's, but we took public comment.
Correct.
Item E2 was open and now we're doing the presentation.
I thought we were gonna have discussion because we didn't have a presentation last time. That's because I didn't have my 4.0 readers on. Okay, now I do.
Well, Madam Chair, if you don't want the presentation.
I really don't want the presentation. No, I'm just kidding. They probably worked on it for a long time.
Okay,
I'm
they,
also not.
they could speed through,
Okay.
because the
Well,
board is familiar.
let's have discussion.
I think if
Okay.
we grasp for 250,000, we gotta go to the presentation.
Really? I'm just kidding. Steven, oh, Steven, he's like, what? He's like, yeah. I just know that you spend a lot of time on these, so. Take
No,
it away, and also, we're really glad you're here, because last time we didn't have a presentation, so thank you, go ahead.
Yeah, happy to be here. My name is Devin Middlebrook. I'm with the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency. I'm also former South Lake Tahoe City Council member and mayor. With me today is Debbie Pardue, who is the managing director of the Destination Stewardship Program, which you are all, as RSCVA board members, a critical participant. And shout out to Ben. She'll probably get multiple shout outs from us today, but Ben's participation in that. Again, as you mentioned, we were here last year asking for funding to continue the microtransit program. in Washoe County portions of the Tahoe Basin. Back here again to ask for your support, but really just want to highlight, in addition to the mayor's great story, last year, you all told us that you wanted us to figure it out ourselves and not keep coming back for one-off funding from this board every time. I want to let you know, and it really feeds into your next agenda item on legislative updates, but we took that to heart and we are working on that. We all know the legislative process takes a while, even though it's a fast and furious 120 days in Carson City. It does take a while, but we have a bill that actually just came out, Senate Bill 420, which is to allow for business improvement districts in the state of Nevada, the same model that they're using on the California side of North Shore, which is local businesses doing self-help to fund transportation and fund these services. So we all know that takes time. We still need to get through the session. Hopefully the bill is successful. Your support on that would be amazing. And it will take time to spin that up and get the businesses ready with a management plan and collecting revenue. So we really do, with that consideration and the feedback last year that we got from you, really want to make sure that we're being conscious of our ask and coming to you with this ask, knowing that we took your advice to heart and are working on long-term permanent solutions. Those just need a little bit more time to get baked in. And Senator Daley, who is the chair of the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency's Interim Oversight Committee during our interim session in 2024, really emphasized for all of the visitors authorities around the lake to do more to manage and mitigate visitor impacts on the lake. And to do that, we do have our destination stewardship plan, which you have all heard about previously. And I'll let Nettie give you a sentence or two about that.
Hi, is this on? Yeah, okay. Good morning, all. Thanks for having us here today. And Mayor, I wanted to thank you for your story that you shared for our presentation.
Do you call it the Pop-Tart?
Yeah, we don't call it the
I've never heard of that. So when she said that, I let it go. And I'm like, what is the Pop-Tart? I'm like, that sounds fun. I want to go on the Pop-Tart, whatever that is.
We might have to give her.
I had no idea. And then actually the girl sitting next to me, she lives in Tahoe, and she goes, yeah, that's that. What's the Pop-Tart? I didn't want to look dumb, but she's the one that told me.
Well, I appreciate your story about Reno Tahoe and the branding and how we can better work together. And destination stewardship is really just that in action. And so in essence, the destination stewardship is a long-term strategy that aims to create a positive experience for both residents and visitors, while also taking care of the environment, culture, and community. And so that example of a Reno visitor coming up to Tahoe, using the services, and us collaborating together is really what we're trying to do with destination stewardship. So I stepped into my role about 1.5 years ago, and in the last year, we've had a lot of successes. The 4th of July last year was a great improvement of previous 4th of Julys in the basin, partially because of the engineering, and the education, and the enforcement that we saw. And that came out of some of the action team work that our committees started to do over the last year. You can see in this slide that the destination stewardship plan and the council work is really about this shared vision, a cherished place, well means well, where people, communities, and nature benefit from a thriving tourism and outdoor recreation economy. So I want to thank you all for your investment, particularly Ben over here, another shout out. Ben has attended our monthly meetings and is part of some of the action teams, offering the perspective from the RSCVA and the Reno community that's been invaluable to continuing the success of the Destination Stewardship Council on our work. So thank you for your investment there. I also want to say that the particular our support of this project and the transportation has been one of the destination stewardship plan successes. And with your continued investment, we hope that it will continue to be a success. So thanks for having me, and Devin's going to elaborate a little bit more.
I think, again, the mayor did a great job of summarizing what the importance of transit for the visitors in our region are. We all know that Reno and Tahoe are very, very connected. We don't want to be separate from Reno, so hopefully you don't leave us and drop the Tahoe name. Reno culturally, location-wise, the airport, there really is such strong connections between the two regions. And really want to just highlight transportation and transit as a key strategy for visitor services. This is, everyone that goes to Reno stays in your hotels down here. This is a product for your visitors when they take their day trip up to the lake to go to Sand Harbor, or they want to go to T's Rotisserie and get one of those delicious burritos. The workforce and the workers that need to get to Reno that work at the Hyatt up at the lake. This is a service when they're at the lake they could use to run to go get lunch. Or the folks that work there, you heard in public comment from Pascal with the Hyatt and how important it is for his employees and his visitors. This really, transit is a visitor serving product. It's something you can use to differentiate your product from the other competitors across the country and across the West. The mayor also brought up fire and evacuation and the importance there. In South Lake Tahoe in 2021, we had the Caldor fire, which burned through our community, and we had to evacuate the whole community. We were able to use the transit buses in our town to go and evacuate elderly folks that can't drive, households, low-income households that don't have access to a car, our small homeless population. Our transit buses were a key part of the infrastructure we needed to get people out. So not only does this have a great visitor serving face to it, a great employee serving face to it, it also does help us build our emergency response capacity. You can see our Pop-Tart van right there in front of the Incline Village Visitor Center. So really just a great shot that illustrates all of that. Quickly, just want to run through some ridership stats and some stats to show you where we're at. The blue bar all the way on the right is this current fiscal year through the end of February. This winter's been a little rough on Tahoe in terms of the amount of snow we've gotten, but that ridership is definitely going to pick up this summer. We're expecting a wonderful summer at the lake. And you can see year over year from 21 all the way through 24, ridership just continues to increase in Washoe County. People are figuring out about it. People are wanting to use it. Visitors who come back year after year are getting more used to it. They know when they come up to the lake that they don't have to necessarily take their car everywhere. They don't have to fight congestion, fight for a parking spot. They can hop on TART Connect. The key here is we don't want to lose that momentum. If we're building ridership year after year and all of a sudden the service goes away, we're going to lose that momentum. We're going to lose that ridership. We have to start back over again and build that up over time. With funding and your help with matching funding with other agencies such as Water RSCVA, local hotel taxes, we've increased the number of vehicles, so being able to serve more riders. You can see the number of riders per hour is increasing with 33 riders per hour this year compared to 26 last year. Again, just getting more and more popular. And we're also not just shuttling around empty cars. Our shared ridership, how many times you have to ride with someone else, really maximizing all of those seats in those vans has gone up as well. So 67%, 2/3 of the ridership, someone's pooling with someone, so you're getting multiple cars off of the road. And then this slide, I really want to highlight this piece in terms of the ridership profiles for folks and the surveys that are done after folks take a ride. You can see on the table below, under trip purpose, 40% of people are taking these for recreation and social. A lot of those are our visitors going to the beach, going out to dinner, going to events. This is folks using it when they're visiting, spending their hard-earned dollars in our market, in our area, generating tax revenue for this organization and other businesses, local governments in the region. The next column, you ask, what happens if TART Connect wasn't there? If you couldn't take the Pop-Tart, what would you do? 27% said they wouldn't take the trip. So that's 27% of these riders that wouldn't take the trip. That's 27% of trips not going to local businesses, not going out enjoying recreation sites. That is directly linked to economic activity and spending in the community. And then you can see again, 76% of folks that use this also use the fixed route bus service. So it really is high tide rising all boats in our interconnected transportation system. And then funding, we are actually doing it with a little bit less money this year. So really being efficient with our dollars and our spending. Mayor, you mentioned match and matching dollars. So this is really just a shot of the last 4 years and all of the different funding sources, Washoe RTC, Andy Chapman's group at Travel North Tahoe, Nevada, the Tahoe Fund, philanthropic dollars, Washoe County, and the RSCVA at about 1/4 of it. So every dollar you put into this system is matched by 3 additional dollars. So you're really maximizing your investment. And then looking at it again for this year, this fiscal year only, your match is around, pending the approval of today's ask, is around 22%. So with that, really just want to again highlight that this is Not just a product for Tahoe, not just for Tahoe's businesses, not just for the Tahoe residents. This really is a product that all properties in Reno and parks can use to advertise, support, and promote their businesses, their lodging properties, a real strong visitor product. So we love if this continues to move forward to work with all of your properties to get information about the Pop-Tart into your hotels, get your concierge desk, your front desk staff knowing about the product, being able to advertise that to the consumers. And those folks that are making their decision about where they want to go on vacation, this is really another selling point for them. So don't think of this as just a Tahoe request. Think of this as a request helping your businesses, your properties have more products to give to your visitors. And with that, we'll turn it back to the mayor for any questions or for discussion.
All right, thank you so much. I guess one of the things that really stood out to me on there is that it said local and it was 3%. Am I correct?
The 3% is Airbnb. Washoe
Oh.
County's at 43% and Travel North Tahoe, Nevada is at another 50,000 for this fiscal year. Washoe RTC's in there. But overall, when you look at the 4-year investment, Travel North Tahoe, Nevada is at 15%. Washoe County, which is local dollars, is at 24%.
Okay. And I guess I would just have to ask Alexis this, about sort of their local agency, because, you know, I don't know what their priorities are, but I also think that there should be a conversation with them. If it is that their call.
Yes.
Yeah. And so can maybe give us a little background on, you know, I feel like they should also be at the table with us if we're really talking about collaboration, because I don't think that that's helpful either. So I don't know the politics up there. I just, you know,
Okay.
for a few headlines.
Yes.
Other than that, but maybe you can help us understand that, because I do
Right.
think that they should understand that this is also something that they should participate in. So go ahead.
The IVGID board and Washoe County and TART Connect have had a interesting relationship since I started. In 2021, when Washoe County started looking at supporting this program with Greg's agency, we did go to IVGID, but there was a very conservative board who did not want to spend any dollars on anything. Essentially, they cut the fees, the recreation fees. They're now in a deficit as an organization. 2 board members were, the community tried to recall 2 of their board members. Before the election. And then they have had a new election and many new people have started on the board who are very excited about TART Connect, excited about collaboration, but they need to raise revenues again because they cut their fees and can barely pay for the services that they are required to pay for by the General Improvement District NRS standards.
Yeah.
They are not in a place to contribute this fiscal year, but next fiscal year, I think when they more than double their rec fees, then that is going to be a discussion we will be having with them. They have a new GM who is very supportive of community activities. Actually, Christina asked to do a photo shoot on the beach recently, and in years past, I wouldn't have even sent that to anyone because they would have been like, how dare you ask to go on our beaches?
Okay.
But the GM, are they accommodating you with going on the
Yeah,
beach?
we're working with them and we should be able to make it work.
Yeah, so I think the partnerships are coming together again, but it's really tough when the political, the people in charge are not, they don't align with that vision. But I think that now we have a really good stable board, a good GM, and I think that they will be part of this. And I know that was Eddie's concern too, when we were talking about the program. Where is IVGID in this? And the county has been, IVGID has been in such a difficult position that the county has been helping them with their bill pay, with their finance and their budgeting. That is how they've had to ask Washoe County to support them. So that is where they are financially as an organization, but hopefully we'll get back on track here soon.
Okay.
And they've also said in the past, sorry to interject here.
No, it's all good.
That it's not in their charter to fund public transportation. So that's another obstacle we're going to have to get over if this is going to be a successful partnership and have them help fund.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But they
I think it
do
helps.
fund residents I mean, that's where it's not, they're not perfect, they were not, and the past board was not being perfectly open because they do fund to get to the ski resort, they fund residents to get to the senior center.
Yeah.
So there is a piece for them to play in this. And I've spoken to their board of, why don't we collaborate? And the things that the transportation you're funding for your seniors, you put in TARP Connect, and I think this next budget cycle will be something they are gonna look to do because they have to create efficiencies because they are in such a hole right now.
Good to know. I know it seems fragmented, but I feel like there needs to be a better partnership with us. Okay, I'm gonna open up to the right of me and then we'll go around.
Charlene was first.
Oh, go ahead. We'll just go around this way. It'll be easier. And then everyone will know when they're gonna speak. Go ahead.
Quick question, help me understand this. If GIT has a budget and then Travel North, Tahoe, Nevada has their own separate budget, totally separate of each other.
Totally separate, not affiliated at all.
That's the only question I had. Thank you very much.
All right, go ahead, Charlie.
Devin, so on the, just more out of curiosity, is there any data on the reduction in cars on the road and emissions as a result of that and congestion that we can link to all these? I mean, there should be, but I don't know if you're collecting, is somebody collecting that data?
Yeah, I mean, I think the ridership is a direct correlation to vehicle trip reduction. Let me pull that up. Obviously, when you look at this table and 27% of people who say they wouldn't have taken that trip, obviously you're probably not saving that car trip if they wouldn't have taken it without the bus.
Right.
But you can see here at the top of that, 10% said they would have driven alone, 16% said they would have done a carpool or a regular taxi or Uber. So that's 26% of the, over 100,000 rides that we've been doing per year. At least, at minimum, 27% of those folks would have driven. So that's 25,000 cars off the road every year at minimum.
And I know that's part of the goal of this is kind of multi-layered, it is obviously the environmental, the congestion, preserving Tahoe, which is a huge thing for us to do. And I just feel, and I have all along with the TARP Connect since we started this funding, I just feel that it's a really important investment. I know when we first did it was kind of a wonky one-off. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we doing buses? Why are we doing marina or sparks and transportation? But I think this has been a unique opportunity because we really, our stewardship with Ben sitting on that council and our responsibility as part of our strategic plan, we list about, we talk about sustainability and we talk about, we have, I think, responsibility, especially that we're marketing, and Reno Tahoe is on everything. And so Tahoe is our huge draw for people, visitors that come to the region, whether they're coming to Reno or to Sparks. Almost all of them, or a lot of them, are going to Tahoe also. And we want to preserve that. So I think really I have been supportive and I continue to support what TARP Connect, what I really am happy about through the couple of funding cycles we've done. We find in the very beginning, we had nothing. Now we've got data and you're showing us incredible numbers. And I think those numbers are really important because it should just grow as people know about the service and getting more cars off and getting, for me, I think the visitors using it is great because those are who staying and giving us room tax dollars. But I think for the locals, and I've said this all along, for those locals that are using it, that's getting people, those workers, it's getting the maids and the waiters, the waitresses and people who work in stores and shops to work and back. And if they can't, those businesses don't operate or they operate shorthanded and it affects the whole visitor experience. So it's as important for me to offer that, let alone, and I hadn't thought about seniors who, like my dad at the end he and his friend did not drive. And I didn't even think about, and I should, how many seniors who aren't gonna drive, or sometimes your conditions up there. I'd rather be in in a TART Connect than I would driving an icy road for myself. So I really, I appreciate your presentation. I appreciate all this data. I think it's important, the investment, $250,000 compared to our budget and things that we are funding, in this RSCVA organization, I don't think is a big ask at all. And I appreciate your time today, and I'm very supportive of this funding again.
Great, thank you so much. Stephen, your turn.
I'll probably be the counter to Charlene's comments. And not at all, I'm very sensitive and appreciative of the challenge that you have in Greg and Alexis and up at the lake. It ties down to us as well. The only thing I'd say, Charlene, is it was a wonky one-off request 4 years ago, but we've had 3 more wonky one-off requests in the sense of it doesn't feel like there's a plan. And every year, and I'm looking at the budget for the, the 4-year budget compared to now, and I just feel like, I do feel that we should be at the table as a partner, absolutely. But I feel like there's a flowing, there's certain partners, and just to call them out, I think it was Blaine that said how locals like it. The fact that kids not funding into it is a problem in my eyes. I think come on. I think there was an unsolicited request from TRPA. TRPA is not funding into this. And so there's a side of me, if we're gonna be true partners, and I do, we're all talking about the brand. I think we send over 2 million back up out of the room tax. It's the only agreement with any of our tax districts that receive funding back. So I think we're doing more than our fair share. I'm open to finding a number, and I'm open with the matching idea, but I think we did what, 200, 100, was 250 our last one?
Yeah, so the first one was 250, the second one was 100, and then the third one was 200.
Okay, kind of reverse, but I just don't know. I just want to be fair to everybody. I think you have a real challenge. We all do. I think in the big picture, we've got to figure this thing out on how we're going to move people if we're going to be a true tourist destination. But I just want to be fair to the RSCVA.
Good point.
So I'm open. I'm not in favor of the full 250, but if there was some level of compromise, I think we need to drag some other partners to the table. The other actually 2 specific questions. Have we ever thought about charging a nominal fee for out of town folks, but if you have your advocate card, you travel for free, which would be one option. And then I don't know, I can't read my writing on the other.
Yeah, fee structures have been discussed and are continually being discussed, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic. There was an infusion of federal dollars into transit systems, and it allowed us to go free on that. And we've really found the difference between free and a charge. There's a big difference in ridership and willingness for people to go. When you have to pay, you're already somewhat being inconvenienced that you don't have your personal vehicle, you don't have the exact freedom to do exactly what you want in your own space. That's already a burden and for some people to get out of their vehicle. So then you add a cost to it. And that for a lot of folks is just too much. So, a lot of what we've discussed at Tahoe is the policy trade-offs of free versus a little bit of revenue recouping. And everyone has, invested in free transit because they thought the loss of the potential revenue was worth it for the trade-off of increased ridership. But that is something we are actually discussing. There's hopefully going to be a pilot transit micro shuttle pilot launch for Emerald Bay this summer on the California side. And we are talking about making that one for a cost for riders to supplement that. So it is something we're starting to experiment with for more of the recreation-based routes, but definitely feedback that we can take into consideration moving forward.
No, I think the flip side of that is it also can get a little bit abused if it's free.
Yeah.
If there's no value, no skin in it, it just, you might overuse it to the point, you get a handful of repeat that just basically figure we don't need a taxi or Lyft or any of that. We'll just, take advantage of the free offer. Anyway, appreciate your efforts, appreciate the opportunity.
I think, Stephen, you make some really, really good points. And I appreciate your efforts to go to the legislature. And I think that was another reason where I felt a little more comfortable. I think, moving forward, trying to figure out where that piece does fit in. I don't know what the bill looks like, because none of us know what a bill looks like, right? Until the end of the day.
Yeah, and it just came out on Monday, so.
Yeah,
it's fresh
so
for all of us.
right. So, I think that, would really be helpful so that. Cause I'm sure this has gotta be probably uncomfortable for Alexis to feel like, hey, we need some partnership here. Because I was very opposed to it. And, but I also. Then, I brought in RTC, or we brought in RTC, not I, but we, and, the partnerships can work, but I think, I understand, Stephen, you make some really, really good points. So.
Yeah, and that bill again, Senate Bill 420, that would be able to bring business improvement districts to the region. I think another key point about that is it lets the businesses at the lake self-assess. And it's not just on lodging properties. The version that they do on the California side of the North Shore is restaurants, entertainment, your kayak and bike rental places that don't currently pay into sales tax. It really helps spread again, to your points, even about everyone chipping in and having support, that model of business improvement districts moves and shifts the burden from it just being on the lodging properties. Because right now, even the Washoe County contribution, the Travel North Tahoe contribution, the RSCVA contribution, those ultimately are all coming from, our majority are coming from hotel tax and the lodging properties. So the business improvement district not only gives us at Tahoe more self-help mechanisms, more funding mechanisms to help ourselves, but it also spreads that share across more businesses than just the lodging properties.
All right, great. Okay, I'm gonna go to you, Ms. Hill.
I just wanted to say thank you for the consideration. I know the board gets really annoyed at me, and when my phone number comes up on all of your phones, you're like, oh, the TAR Connect request is coming in, Alexis is calling me about that. So thank you for the consideration. I know it's not traditional of what we typically look at RSCVA, and we'd like to say this is a function of this is a function of these folks. I think ideally we would budget a little bit of money to support a Tahoe program. If this is not the program, I mean, I think it makes sense. We do destination stewardship, that's $20,000. I'm so grateful that we have been on that board to represent Reno. Washoe County also pays into destination stewardship. That's been new for Washoe. I've had board members who are a little annoyed that we pay for the billboards that you see up around town that say clean up after yourself when you go to Tahoe, that Washoe County pays for.
Wow, that's great.
Washoe County pays for, close to $1 million in TART Connect that we've invested, which is not traditional, and staff have really pushed against me doing that. And we'll see with our new budget situation how we can do that. But we also have a tax that another potential revenue source of a surcharge. Has that bill dropped yet? What do you know what number that is?
438.
438, and that is a surcharge of $4.25 that would go on the Airbnbs and the hotel property at the Hyatt. And as you can imagine, Blaine, who manages the majority of Airbnbs in Queen Village and Crystal Bay, and then Pascal, who manages the Hyatt, they weren't excited to have a surcharge added to their properties, but they see transportation as such a need up in Tahoe that they're willing to tax themselves. So there's additional funding revenues that are coming in, potentially if we can get the legislature to be on our side, the governor to sign the bill. But you're right, I don't think the RSCVA should pay for all of it. If there was a portion you could pay and I can run after the rest, that's fine too. But the support means a lot, and I think it is a potential branding opportunity. And I hate to put Jamie on the spot. I don't know if she could even answer this, but Christina, I think you could speak to Placer and see, can we access your users? All the users have emails and I think phone numbers, and why can't we market to these people? Like, let's take advantage of this. Additionally, we'll have our logo on the vans. I know who cares about that, but there are ways that I think we create goodwill in the community. And so, and it looks like Jamie has raised her hand up.
And then just real quick, apologize, I misspoke, it's SB 426.
426. So, hopefully that bill also, I know that Pascal and Blake don't want to see $4.25. They like want to see $2, but whatever the compromise is, hopefully we'll see something move forward.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Greg, and then on the phone, we have John and we have Glenn. So take it away.
So I have a lot to say here, but starting with Stephen, about the comment of like, returning some of the tax dollars to Travel North Tahoe, Nevada. Those are dollars that are generated within the Washoe County portion of Crystal Bay and Incline Village. Of those TOTs that are collected by the RSCVA as the official tax body and collector for the region, we're only seeing 25% of those dollars come back to us. So the RSCVA, we split with the RSCVA a certain portion goes to bonds, certain portion goes to states, county, school district, all of that. So those are dollars that are generated within the region, within the region of Lake Tahoe. Those are not, that is not like a charity amount of money that is being returned back to us. Future Partners has told us in the past that 47% of the overnight Reno visitors take a day trip to Incline Village specifically. That is a lot of impact. That is impact that is not being mitigated by the RSCVA. That's where this organization needs to rethink, the values, because DMOs, traditional destination marketing organizations, are transitioning to management organizations. Costs a lot more money to be a management organization than a marketing organization. Transportation, infrastructure, all is way more expensive than running ads and trying to get people to come to the area. We are suffering from over tourism, and management is more important than ever. And these dollars from the RSCVA that are collected in Tahoe are very valuable to mitigate some of that impact, that tourism impact that is created from Reno, Tahoe. Tahoe is not a subset of Reno. Tahoe is as large as Reno in that logo. So every ad that goes out, the RSCVA is marketing Tahoe. So some of those dollars, we appreciate those dollars to help the mitigation of tourism impacts in the basin.
Okay, all right. I want, when our team is in the room, I want you at the table with us. Thank you so much. Yes, Art, get over here.
I ratted you out, sorry.
We have plenty of room. I couldn't see you over there behind Jose. And I switched to my 1.0 redos versus my 4. So you're lucky you went on the radar. Thank God she's not calling on me.
I wasn't planning on being a comedian. I was gonna be out of town, so I came in last minute.
Was that what it was? Because I didn't see you when I walked in. Okay, we're gonna head over to, I believe, John East.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got a couple questions, I guess. So with the existing funding that we have right now, that the group has right now, that TART has, how long does this sustain the service?
Jamie?
Right now, Washoe County is kind of put together year by year because there isn't a sustainable funding source yet, which we're working towards. Each year we are I sit down with Alexis, I sit down with the operations team over at Washoe RTC, as well as Andy at Travel North Tahoe, Nevada, and we kind of, pluck away at, how we can get a service deployed each physical year. This year, we did have a decline in funding, which directly related to a decline in service hours for the TART Connect service in Washoe County. But even with the reduction in hours, we are seeing 33 on average, 33 people per vehicle service hour, which is astronomical for public transit. And so something certainly that we see a need for within that community. And until we have a sustainable funding source, essentially that's how the funding is kind of put together every year. This funding would get us through fiscal year 24-25. And as Alexis said, I think that there's potentially some additional conversations with IFGID that can happen for 25-26, as well as, I'm continue to work with Washoe RTC, and they're looking at it through their budget cycle as well. So we continue to kind of pluck away, I would say, at the funding piece of it. And again, it does help with congestion. I know Devin had mentioned some things, but over time with TART Connect within Washoe County, we've seen our shared rides, which is a direct relation to taking cars off the road, because the more people we can get into a TART Connect vehicle that's shared. And so what that means is I have 2 people that requested a ride, and then I have another 1 or 2 people that requested a ride. And so instead of sending the van for each trip request, what we're doing is combining these people into the van and delivering them to their destinations in a shared vehicle. And so that directly relates to reducing congestion within the Tahoe Basin. But within that zone alone, when the program started, we were at about a 50% shared ride percentage, and we've gone to upwards of 67 to almost, depending on the season, I can see it up to like 75% shared ride, but average is about 67 for fiscal year 24-25. So we do continue to just see, substantial success with this program. I will also touch on the fares. So right now, TART is going through a TART systems plan update. We are doing this in partnership with Washoe County RTC. And so fares on TART Connect is certainly being looked at by the consultant team. And it could be, when it's being utilized for a first mile, last mile, and we're connecting to public transit routes, maybe it's free at that time, and then there's a fare charged, outside of those times, or vice versa. So a lot of that is being evaluated through the TART systems plan update, which we should have a final plan adopted towards September of 2025.
Okay. Just put a fine point on the question from John Yee. This would get us through the fiscal year through June 30th. If the funding is not received, the TART Connect service would have to stop in Washoe County right as the summer season is kicking up and the most ridership demand exists.
Well, if this funding isn't received, we're looking at stopping at the end of winter, which is just in about a week or so.
All right, so that's what I wanted to get clarification on, because I believe last time we had an ask, we were in a similar situation. TART was in a similar situation where we were up against needing to either scuttle the service entirely or significantly reduce hours if we did not get the funding. And that's, this is not, I have voted for this as long as I have been on the board, right? Though I think this is the third or the fourth ask that I've been on the board where I have voted for this. This is not an issue for me of the importance of transportation within the region. I believe in it strongly. It's something that I wholly support. What I struggle with is where our role in that is, right? And when we come back for this and we say, we think this is the last time, we think this is the last time, but it ends up not being it, it starts to create some mistrust, and not among this group here, but rather among those potential funding partners. I mean, a lot of the people in the public, when we were taking public comments, discussed that in other regions, they're public-private partnerships, and they're subsidized differently, and there is an awful lot of local ridership. And in as much as we support that in this group, I mean, I do not think that transportation is really part of our charge. And so I will continue to support this, but I guess I just need some level of confidence that, is this really going to be the last time? When are we going to find the other natural and appropriate funding partners to participate? And my concern is that as long as we continue to to fund shortfalls, maybe they will never come to the table. I worry that we need to get to a tipping point. It angers me to get to this, right? Because it shouldn't be this way. We should participate at a level that everybody's comfortable with, along with those that are the natural partners to participate in this. But as long as we continue to fund shortfalls, I don't know what it's going to take to get those other partners to come to the table. So that's what I got.
All right, thanks, John. Okay, Glenn, I think, is Glenn on?
So, yeah.
Okay, yes, I'm gonna have Ben, because Eddie is not here. Glenn, can you hear us? Maybe,
He's there, but he's not.
okay, well, chime in, Glenn, whenever you. Oh, there he is.
I'm here. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Go ahead.
We can
Can you hear me now? Okay, I appreciate everything that's been said. I really appreciate, I followed Stephen Squawka the best on his comments. And, I love Incline, naturally love Lake Tahoe. My father was the first lawyer for Boise Cascade to develop Incline. Got a street named after him up there. Love Incline. I think, and I'm new to the board this round anyway. I haven't been on the board for a few years. So I'm not really fully understanding of the $250,000. It's not really the money that's the issue. It's the continuance of coming back and back and back, and then really the lack of understanding of the plan. And so for me, I would like to really, I think the RSCVA's monies are supposed to be spent for marketing, and making sure that that we give $2 million in taxes back to the Incline. We give them $550,000, and here's another $250,000, and so for me, I'd like to continue building to develop the partnership with a plan, and I don't see the plan right there. So that's my point right now, and I appreciate all your comments. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Glenn. I'm gonna send it to Mr. Kennedy because Eddie Alliser is not here, and he put comments on the record. Go ahead.
Yes, so Mr. Alliser is unable to attend today, but he asked me to read this into the record for him. I unfortunately won't be able to attend the upcoming RSCVA board meeting, but I did want to provide comments on the agenda item revisiting the financial ask that Lake Tahoe is seeking for its TARP Connect program. I have Ann Silver, CEO of the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce, who I am acting under their authority on this email. As I expressed this past summer as a representative of the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce, I remain opposed to any future allocation to Lake Tahoe for the TARP Connect program. The Chamber has discussed this before, and we remain opposed to the use of trusted public tax dollars being spent on an unsustainable program. The governance structures around the lake have a myriad of options to pick from in funding public goods, such as public transportation around the lake. To continue to come back to the RSCVA, whose mission and scope is not to provide a circuit of transportation to residents or visitors, is simply not the responsibility of RSCVA and does nothing to further the mission of bringing more tourism to our region. Moreover, it was stated on the record that the request was a one-time ask and that the stakeholders seeking to continue the TARP Connect program would be working to find a sustainable funding source for the project. While I'm not present to take action on this item, I want it to be known at the meeting of my objection and my plan to vote no on any request to appropriate funds to TARP Connect. With the permission of Ann and the chair, I would like my comments read into the meeting when this item comes up. And just to clarify for the record, RSCVA doesn't allow absentee or proxy voting, so when we vote on this, no vote will be recorded from Mr. Wilson.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. I did want to mention that Jesse, he has to be in another hearing at the legislature, so he won't be able to jump on. So I apologize. Okay, any further questions? Comments? Oh, go ahead.
And just one question I think we're kind of missing, and Courtney, because we haven't
Okay.
heard, we moved things around a little bit, so we haven't heard from Courtney as far as our finances. And maybe if you can give just a quick 15-second review before you make your formal presentation, but are we're looking at a possible recession coming up in this economy. And are we going to be adjusting our budget to reflect that? And what is going on with our tourism with Canada right now, because the big rift there, and I understand we've had a trip that was canceled up there. So how would this impact our finances?
Absolutely. So funding this request today would deplete the rest of our unsolicited proposals fund that we budgeted for the year, so we would not be able to accept or evaluate any new unsolicited proposals until the next fiscal year. In terms of our budget projections, we have factored in that greatly increased risk of a recession. For the year fiscal 26, we're expecting reduced revenues. We've cut department budgets, so we are factoring that in as well.
Hey, big man.
Thank you.
Mike.
Is there someone there that wants to speak? No? Oh, okay. Okay, well, I'm gonna try for a motion. First of all, I think, again, you heard my comments. I think it's important to collaborate. I do hear the concern, and I think it's a very, very valid one. What does this look like in the future? With that being said, I would like to somehow figure out what that does look like. I think, Alexis, you might know that better than all of us, and who you can bring, maybe along with Mike, to figure out who those partners are. And maybe something a little bit more substantial with a member from IVGID. And they should probably hear from us to understand we do want a partnership, but that means that they have to be at the table as well, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that that's important to figure out, what does that look like for the future? And the other thing is, I want to know from the board, are you willing to fund, in the future, a certain percentage? I don't know what that looks like, but something where everyone feels that they're participating in the continuance of, infrastructure. And I think there are a lot of people that feel strongly that you can say, yes, it's tourism. No, it's not tourism. Of course, you can say all those things, but I do know one thing for sure, and I have felt it, especially, on the city side, that when we're collaborating together, all three jurisdictions, and I know Charlene feels the same way, we get a lot more done. It's a lot more cohesive. And I just feel like now we are growing to that point where regionally, when something good happens in Sparks, I get to take credit for it. So I just, but I do want to know what that looks like, because I am sensitive to, I think Stephen makes great comments, John makes great comments. And I know we don't want to be sitting here and having a discussion. So can we come up with maybe a committee or working board with those people that should be at the table? I don't understand some of the structure. And I'm happy to sit down and try to figure that out, because maybe we need some sort of a committee on, what that looks like. Because honestly, RTC too should play a role in some tourism initiatives. I got to be honest with you, that the woman I sat next to, she was right. And Alexis and I have work to do over there for sure.
I agree.
And it's, we got to make transportation cool. And so our visitors they want it now more than ever, because cities are offering a lot of transportation initiatives. Go check out the Bright Line in Florida. It's phenomenal, right? Like we got to make sure that we're focusing on transportation for our tourism aspect of it. There are a lot of people that, and you know this, a lot of our new visitors to Reno Tahoe, I'm sure you know too, Stephen, they're like outdoors, they're active, they're big into sustainability. That ranks really high with tourism. And they want to see that. They want to see transportation options. They don't want to be getting into cars. That's why you guys are all putting EV stations in your properties, right? Like, so we got to think about what that future is, because it's another amenity to say, we're sustainable, and we need to be, because otherwise, I truly believe in it. We see these things that are happening in our climates that are very concerning because we're not doing right by, some of the sustainability initiatives. I feel strongly about what's the future. And I do think, again, we need to have a tough conversation at RTC. There should be some really good tourism transportation that we can offer to a lot of the gaming properties as well.
Yeah,
Right.
if I may, Mayor, I think Senate Bill 420, the business improvement districts is part of that vehicle, and then the conversation that's going to happen and the plan for the long-term sustainability that folks have asked where that is. That really is where we're going all in on creating that system, and that is gonna have to force us to come together to have the discussions among all businesses with IFGID, with all of the partners on how do we form that, what do we spend the money on, what do we prioritize? So I think that's also a vehicle that those discussions can happen. And then to your point on the sustainability, when we developed the destination stewardship plan, it was something like 75% of the visitors, over 1,000 visitors that we surveyed, said that a destination's sustainability and environmental stewardship is at least somewhat important in their choosing of a destination to vacation to. So the data backs up that claim.
Yeah, especially here, because we have some big players like Patagonia who really market the region for sustainability, the Truckee River. I mean, we have things that most cities don't have that attract that type of visitor. So, and they want to come here for that. They just do, So here's what what I would propose as a motion. Oh, go ahead.
I just had a comment before because I was ready to make a motion if you were ready. Just would like to say that we have the budget and I'm your ultimate fiscal conservative. So I really take seriously every dollar that we spend because taxpayer dollars, we don't work too hard for. So I really take that very seriously. We have the unsolicited requests or proposals that this will come out of, Courtney just alluded to that. So we set aside that money for a purpose. This is an unsolicited proposal. And so the money is there. I would prefer, because it keeps, we keep doing this over and over again, to your point, John. I would prefer, I am supportive of this today, using that unsolicited proposal money because it's there. So the TAR Connect is not shut down right now as we move into summer. And looking at for the upcoming budget that we'll be doing for 25-26, looking at do we want to, and that'll be a decision in our budget and in our finance committee, do we want to allocate some funds, not $250,000, but do we want to make a commitment to be a partner at the same time that bill draft for BID that we know could be a whole year before that if you get it and you institute it, it'll be at least a year to do the BID, but that is long range, really, I think, where we need to go. But in the interim, the IGVID and TRPA and other partners looking for this upcoming fiscal year, who do we partner with so that TAR Connect can sustain itself without depending on $250,000 a year from RSCVA that comes in like last minute. So I agree with all of you who made that statement, because I wish we weren't doing it this way either, but we do have a fund for that. And I would really look for this upcoming year for us to help with sustainability with the partners, with the business improvement district, could give us the sustainability that you need. And then the strength of the system and the financial security of it would be but much stronger. And so that's where I stand on that. And I don't know if you want, you got a comment, so.
More of a question.
Go ahead.
What is remaining in the unsolicited balance? Is it exactly 250?
It's just slightly under, just by $3,000 based on some requests that we in this week, and that includes the portion for requests under 10,000 and the portion for requests over 10,000. We would need to combine both to fund this request.
Yeah, and my only other, and this is again kind of one other concern, and off of Mr. East's question. I didn't realize this happened. I think the last request, I didn't realize we're just carrying this to June 30th. I mean, honestly, if I had whatever number we were, amount we're good with, I'd actually be more comfortable saying, are you better off going dark until June 1 when we're going into a shoulder season. From a pure efficiency standpoint, it just concerns me that, it is truly, we're just band-aiding this thing along as we go. At least in the peak season, you're moving some people, but I didn't realize again, This is just, what are we at? We're in
3 months left.
almost April.
Fiscal year.
So anyway,
Yeah, we really need that consistency for the ridership. If you come up once and it's not running and it is running, and you really just don't know it, people just default back to their normal behavior of cars. So the consistency and making sure it's available is critical to the success of it during the summers.
Okay.
Yeah, but how are we going to fund it post June 1? With this ask here, what's our intention to fund it post June 1?
So once we get into the next fiscal year, that's when the contributions that have carried it all the way to this point, this fiscal year kick back in. So that's when Marshall County's contributions start again. That's when Travel North Tahoe's contributions start again. So that's where it kicks back to that fiscal year, and it's in those budgets for the next fiscal year.
So you feel good that you'll see no interruption in service, because I agree with you. It's important to maintain the consistency. You'll see no interruption of service through whenever, I guess through Labor Day at least. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. And I also, Charlene, that we should put something, if this is an enduring request, rather than have to go through this debate and get, Greg and Alexis to have to come forward and keep pitching this over and over. I do think we should find some space in the budget for this in the future. And so that gives, that gives some level to TART to know, okay, this is what we've got available to us. This is what we're going to have. So I agree with that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll try for a motion, and we'll go from there. First of all, I think that I would say it should predicate on the match, that we don't fund it unless we get a match. I think that is important. And that will be something that I will have to put on an agenda. And I don't know what that looks like, but that's kind of one of the things I think is probably important.
Madam Mayor, where would the match come from?
RTC.
Okay, thank you.
50-50.
Because I just think that, it's important those matches from partnerships make a difference, and then we're not putting the entire bill. So I would be comfortable with funding maybe half of the ask, and then leaving some money in that fund, Courtney, so it's not completely depleted. And then I also would ask Mike, I'm gonna make you do some work and figure out who the partner should be. And I'd love to have even maybe call a special meeting with them and have a conversation. What does that look like in the future? And I think we'll have more clarity after the legislative session. And I can certainly see your passion and love for transportation up there. And it's very, very commendable. It's very good. We probably should have brought you to the table a long time ago, but I think you did a phenomenal job. Anyway, so that would be my motion.
125.
125.
With the committee, with the ED, bring together a group for future funding discussions. Okay.
You what?
I will second that, Madam Mayor.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
All
thank you,
right.
thank
Well,
you, thank you.
I'm grateful you're supportive.
I appreciate it.
So can I just clarify for the record? So the motion is 125 predicated on a match from RTC, and then further direction to staff to explore developing a committee.
My question would be, if RTC does not match that, do we give nothing? And do you close, if we only give 125, will it still shut down in the next month?
That would be a question for Jamie on the shutdown.
So Washoe RTC is contributing this year already. So I don't know if that would constitute as a match, but they are contributing $250,000 this year.
Yeah. And I remember the last meeting, I said that I would help with transportation on that side, because I didn't feel that we should entirely support it. So I'm still willing to.
Well, we're both on the RTC board, so let's see if we can move that.
They've already given $250,000 for this to finish this fiscal year.
Correct. Yes.
But is this
So, and if we get 125 from this group, it would probably we would have to work with the vendor and look at potentially probably just a further hour reduction.
But Jamie, what we're saying is we have an RTC meeting coming up, so we're gonna ask for additional money from our.
It will be additional.
So.
So we kind of need to, and I hate to be like this, but you know, Placer County is the one contracting for this service. I need to know whether we have the funding or not, or I will have to suspend the service. Only because I can't take on the financial liability of it.
And at what time do you need the answer? I mean, is it literally today or is it next week or?
It's literally today. I mean, we will have to put out the suspension notice.
Well, what about if we, maybe this is more a question for you, if we allocate that and then RTC agrees to do it, then we repay them?
What if they don't?
Well, then we're.
Right, so I think the motion we have right now.
So.
I'm just, my concern is.
Well, then maybe to make it cleaner, then, well, okay, I see what you're saying.
Right, so I think the motion we have right now is 125 that we will fund if RTC approves another 125. If RTC does not, then we fund 0.
The problem is she has a timing issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. So.
I would, it's just as far, are we just open for conversation?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I was sort of, I think where you were going with it. I don't even really care if it was RTC that was coming in with the matching or if it was TRPA.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's, but I'm with you if we were there at a matching partnership. I'm sorry that the deadline is today, I mean, and again, I'm sensitive to everybody's, but to me, without sounding rude, that's not an RSCVA problem. I don't mean to be that way, but it's needs to be said. I think, we're going into a shoulder season. We all make tough, we've all been in business, we all have to make tough decisions at times. I could go with some sort of matching arrangement. I think I'd go and get through another year and then hopefully this legislation comes in and backfill behind it. I do think there's a much broader transportation discussion for the whole region that needs to be had, but I think if it stays in some type of partnership, I'm there.
All right. Let me ask you, because this was a concern last time, it was on the back end. So that's one thing, like obviously it puts us in a really difficult position. And so I'm trying to figure out how we absolutely avoid that. I would think with a working group, a committee, we're not doing that again, right? Because it isn't fair. But here's what I would say. I will all support, and obviously this was not my intention, so I want to be very clear, but I would support the full ask. And then if RTC comes in with that, then we would pay back the RSCVA for the half of it.
They would pay us.
They would have to pay us back.
Right. And if not, we're out paying.
So that's
what I would ask.
Okay.
Mayor, is that if you could amend that motion to be for the full amount.
Sure.
And then we work on RTC and try to get that money.
Sure.
Have that money.
Okay, that sounds good. I will amend my motion, Mr. Kennedy.
And I will second the amended motion.
Okay, thank you.
And so just to be clear, it's to fund the entire 250,000 today. And then direction to seek reimbursement from RTC.
For 125.
For 125.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to establish the working.
Director Michael, yeah, just a question, Madam Mayor and Commissioner Hill. What would the timeline look like in terms of RTC making that decision? Because as you can imagine, every week we get requests for contribution to the unsolicited policy. How long would we have to hold that, freeze that, or deny that for the next 90 days of the remaining fiscal year?
Our next meeting is what? 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be 2 weeks. And I'm also curious, I mean, we're going in a different direction. Ben's gonna say Hillary stay on track, but I'm also curious what kind of those solicitations are.
So we can, again, Michael, get it for the record, we're happy to share that with the board. It is everything from participation in charitable events, participation in dinners, participation in golf tournaments. It's all over. Those are the ones that are in the request below $10,000.
Yeah,
Anything over 10,000, obviously, we run through the finance committee into the board anyway,
Yeah.
which we've only had one. But this would obviously deplete that fund entirely. It actually would take us over a little bit.
Okay.
With the monies coming out of that fund. So that's why I asked the question of the time period, because if they do deny the
Yeah.
request, we would be denying every request moving for the next 90 days.
but it's
And-
not essential right now.
No, we, on Monday, senior staff, we went through, we approved, I believe, 3 or 4, all in the amounts between 2,500 and 5,000.
Okay.
That took that fund of the 50,000, that is the portion that senior staff can approve. That took us to about 26 or 27,000 out of the 50.
Yeah.
So there's 23 left in there, and then there's 225 left in the other fund, per what we provided in the guidance.
And one of the things I would love to see, and Ben, I think you could do this, where you just put it in our staff report, what the asks were
Sure.
during those between meetings. It's just nice to know
You bet.
what people are asking us for.
So.
Because
so
we
what-
might feel strongly about something that we do want to fund, and we should be bringing that up whenever we are making a decision.
For requests
Between-
below 10,000, Madam Mayor?
I would say any request, quite
Okay.
honestly, you should,
Okay.
any request that come in, we should be able to look at it, because there could be something super critical on there that we need to be doing or feel strongly about as a board, and then something like this, we might say, you know, A is more important right now than B.
But
Then
if I may,
transportation, I'm just saying.
For the process, right? So the requests come in.
Yeah.
Senior staff has been given approval to approve up to 10,000. If we are sharing that information with the board in advance, then we have to delay those decisions.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, or I don't know what we're saying is,
Give us the
I would
information,
still
be nice,
give you,
just to
to
see.
me, I'd still give them the authority to do it.
Yeah.
Just make a note that,
Yeah,
hey, by the way, we did
Yeah.
a house.
Oh,
we did
sure.
This,
yeah,
just an
Yeah.
FYI,
Yeah.
but I don't think we wanna tie you up
No.
on a response.
but I would love to see in here, so we know where, so we're kind of keeping track of what that looks like in that fund. Right, because we should be careful, because maybe this is not a priority, because we've seen what is coming in that we feel is a priority. I'm just saying, because it's hard to make a decision when we don't know. So,
Where did the funds for that, just sorry,
we probably
the
should-
funds that you're using, the
Ben's like,
10,000, where did those come from before?
I'm sorry.
Like for dinners, for sponsoring things, what budget before? Because this is a new, the unsolicited request was a new thing we've just done in the last year.
Yeah, so for the most part, and then Mike Larry, for the record, for the most part, the prior administration denied those requests. If anything was approved, it came through the executive budget, correct? Executive line item in the budget.
Okay.
And that was changed this year, and with the unsolicited proposals policy that we presented to your board and to the executive committee.
Correct.
okay, I'm gonna call for a vote. Okay, so I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
And
Motion carries.
Yeah. Can we get this?
Oh, why don't we do a roll call vote, because we have people online. And I don't know if Glenn can hear me, but I'm gonna start with you, Ms. Hill.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. J,
Yes.
Mr. Bybee, no, Mrs. Bybee.
Yes.
Go ahead. Mr. Svaga.
No.
Okay, Mr. East,
Yes.
Mr.
Last
Carano.
time I brought the last time, darn it.
I saw that eyebrow. I loved it. Okay, Mr. Carano. I don't
No
know.
mind.
I think, is he on there still?
Yes.
Yes, there he is. Mr. Carano?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So I don't have anything else to say. Are we
Okay.
voting yet?
Yes, so we just took a roll call vote.
Okay, yeah, so I'm a no vote.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Okay.
Motion passes. Okay, yes, please, Mr. J, go ahead.
The only thing that bugs me about this, and I voted yes for it, but I don't like being put in a position where we have to make a decision on the day that if we can't do this today, then you shut down. In the future, I'm going to ask adamantly for more in advance notice. I hate being put in a corner where if you don't do this, all hell breaks loose. That's where I'm coming from, and I'm adamant about that.
Understood.
Okay. I heard you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move along, and like I said, unfortunately, you're gonna need to take item E, what was it, 1?
So.
Off the agenda.
So just email me. If I can just read.
Oh, okay. Actually, I apologize for that. Jesse has given us an update, and Ben, you'll put it on record.
Yes, so this is agenda item E. Sorry.
Yeah, you want.
Yes, agenda item E1. So, Mr. Wadham's got pulled into a meeting, and so he emailed me his presentation today. It's pretty brief. I'll just read it into the record. We are now at day 53 of the 120-day session. We now have nearly all of the bills out. 1,033 bills are up for consideration. On March 14th, we had a good hearing on our Assembly Bill 114 on board governance. I want to thank Councilwoman Bybee and Mr. Ablasar for presenting the bill. The hearing went well, and there's a lot of receptivity on the part of the legislatures to help implement the government's reforms that you want. There was no opposition. The bill should be processed through the Assembly Government Affairs Committee before the April 11th deadline. As was mentioned, Senate Bills 420 dealing with creating a business improvement district in the Lake Tahoe Basin, and Senate Bill 426 allowing a transit surcharge in the Tahoe Basin have been introduced. They are not scheduled so far, but we will be monitoring, and I'll keep the board posted as I move forward through the legislative process.
Okay, thank you so much. Good job. Okay, Madam Clerk, get us back on track, because then we were jumping around a little bit.
D1.
So mark up E1, E2 on your agenda. And then we're gonna head into consent agenda.
Move to pass consent items as presented. Yes, me.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Approval of minute.
Move to correct the minutes as presented.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
I
all
had
for
it.
the-
Yeah, okay, never.
You said consent, right?
Yes, no, that's the second time.
No, I.
No, thanks.
The minutes are not on, well, maybe they are.
Yeah, consent.
Okay, presentation.
Thank you.
So let's head into item D1. I guess that would be you, Mr. Larragetta.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mike Barragetta for the record. So today, we have two updates, myself and Vice President of Finance, Courtney Jager, that will provide the update for January. At the last meeting, I'm sorry, D1, Future Partners. I thought you were going into stat. I'm so confused on what letters we're on.
I know, I apologize.
Where are we?
Apologize.
What's
I'm
today?
so sorry. I should have read it out. It's presentations and future partners.
But good, I don't have to say, when we get to staff update, I
No,
can skip
it's
that.
I know, because usually we go like this, right? And so.
Christina.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Today we have Erin Francis Cummings, President and CEO of Future Partners, along with Alexandra Mullen, who is their Research Director, and they are here to present to the board the 2024 Visitor Profile Study, in addition to the Brand Health and Advertising Tracking Study and the Resident Sentiment Study for 2024. As we all know, the Visitor Profile Study, it really talks about our visitor experience, why visitors come here, and what activities they participate in while they are here. And Erin, I believe, also has a couple of slides on national trends and some future predictions that I think we will all find interesting. So without further ado, Erin.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having myself and my colleague, Dr. Alex Moline here. It is truly an honor to get to study this destination and be your research partner. So we appreciate this ongoing relationship with you all. As Christina said, we're going to cover those insights. What you have in your packet is the full report. Alex will, for efficiency today, which we need now, she will cover the real key findings from that, but you have everything available to you in the packet. And then I'm going to start off with some national trends, which are not in your packet, but I'll make sure you receive those after. So, you get this deck moved forward. There we go. Okay, so our company, Future Partners, since 2006, we run a study called the State of the American Traveler, where we track travel trends, behaviors, perceptions, and sentiments. And we survey right now over 4,000 unique American travelers a month. So I do want to share with you some of the highlights coming out of traveler consumer sentiment right now. So I'm going to start with the good news. Travel budgets are staying steady. They remain at near record highs. And confidence, consumer confidence on spending on travel right now is also still holding. In fact, it improved last month over the month before. And you see it is actually higher than we've seen in 24 and 23. And we're also seeing an increase in travelers reporting that they will make spending on travel a budget priority in the near term. And by near term, I mean the next 3 months. But recession fears are growing, and we expect this to continue to go up. If you look over to the left there, they're not near where they were in 22 when we had the biggest recession that never happens, but they are heading back in that direction. You've probably seen this in the news. We see confidence amongst traveling consumers about their financial future dropping. 46.2% think they'll be better off next year than the year prior. And that seems like a good result, but we Americans are very, very optimistic. And so we don't usually see it drop to that level. So just something for you to keep in mind. And then some other things I want to share with you before I hand it off to Alex, who will get into your visitor profile and brand health and resident sentiment, which by the way are amazing insights for all of you to steward this destination. I want to share with you what the national traveling audience feels about Reno right now. So we track Reno in addition to other iconic destinations throughout the country and actually globally as well. So what you're seeing, it's different than what Alex is sharing, which are your customers, your visitors. This is just nationally how traveling consumers feel about Reno. So we have something called the Brand Equity Index. And we take all of those data points that you're seeing on the left, awareness, reputation, differentiation, momentum, relevance, and loyalty, and put it into an index. I'll share with you the individual findings on those, but where you come on this 100-point index is at 50. And if you look down at the bottom right there, there's some competing, other destinations that I've pulled. And what I want you to take away is how well you're performing. You're pretty on par with some large destinations with much bigger budgets, even like San Diego and Las Vegas.
We're the little city that.
Yes, you are the little city that could. Yes. Yes.
Can you go back to that real quick? I just mainly walk me through what does the red to the green mean? Do we want to be in the green?
I want to be in the green, and I'm sorry, so don't put too much stock in that. We're still working on the visualization, we literally just debuted this week. That's against the competitors. Okay, so and I just pulled those. So don't put too much stock in it. Really want you to take away is exactly what Madam Mayor said. You are the city that put those. I mean, those other destinations have enormous budgets and other things for them. So, but yes, you do want to get into the green. Okay, so let's take a look at what else nationally is going on. So a third of Americans give you an A. When they just look at you like, how would you grade this destination? That's an A, and that's a good result because I'll show you how familiar people generally feel about you. This is another great result. Almost half of Americans feel like you are becoming more popular as a destination, comparing last year to this year. Only 1 in 5 American travelers feel familiar with the area right now. So great opportunity because familiarity will drive all your success in the other brand metrics. But another great result, 51% rate you highly for uniqueness. And that's something a lot of destinations don't necessarily achieve. A lot of travelers don't know what differentiates or makes a lot of destinations unique. So that's a great result there. And then almost 40% have some motivation to come here to the Reno Tahoe area. But their likelihood to visit is at 23.1%. So we want to your work here is to move the people who are motivated to visit over to the likely and then actually coming here to visit. 40% of Americans look at this place as a great place to live. Whether you want them to come here, that's for you all to decide. But for your economic development folks, it's important to see that 4 in 10 Americans say this is an appealing place to live. And for our hotels in the room, our meeting sales folks, 43.8% say that, hey, I'd like to come to a convention here. This is an appealing place for a meeting. 40.4% say that they feel like the experiences here are accessible to them. That's probably largely driven by your brand attributes of a lot of outdoor activities. And then 56.8% feel that the environment here is going to be welcoming to travelers like themselves. And then I'm just going to end on this. This is deterrence, destination deterrence. I just asked us that, like, why have you not visited in the last couple of years? And so the top two deterrents are not on my radar and don't know enough, and that's a great result because those are addressed by marketing. And I didn't put it in here because I didn't want to bash on my city that I live in, San Francisco. But if you look at this for San Francisco, it's a wildly different result. You'll see politics, homelessness, and being expensive as top deterrents.
Yeah. Well, we would like to see that. So
Yes,
we
I
can
will, I will get.
So I feel better.
You feel better, yes. Your homelessness return for you is way low, so. Okay, and now I will hand it over to my colleague Alex, who will take you through the key findings of your items.
All right. Hello.
Hi, thank you. I do just want to say I'm a graduate of UNR, so I'm super excited to come back and really work with Christina and Mike here and be presenting this research
That's so
program.
cool.
for you all.
Okay, great.
There we go. So we're starting with your visitor profile. So the really primary objective of this research is to assess and track visitor behavior to the region. To address this objective, we conducted an online survey with 600 Reno Tahoe visitors. So these are folks, adults aged 18 and over, who traveled to the region in calendar year 2024. Moving on to the key insights here, Reno Tahoe visitors are predominantly originated from California with a diverse demographic profile. So the top origin state is California, with the largest share of visitors coming from the San Francisco and the Sacramento areas. The other top feeder states are Nevada, Texas, Oregon, Utah, Idaho, and Washington. Busy slide, but when you look at the demographic profile here, we can see that your visitors are pretty evenly split, 50-50 male, female. The average mean age is 46.8 years. While most are predominantly white, there's a large share who identify as either Asian and or Hispanic. Over 50% are married, with 1 in 3 having children in the household. Over 50% have at least a bachelor's degree. And the average annual household income is hitting just at $103,000. A smaller yet critical share also identifies for the LGBTQ+ community and is having accessibility needs. Looking at this compared to 2023, there's 3 insights to take away here. For 2024, you're leaning slightly more male. We have a larger share of boomers, which directly correlates to a little bit lower share of visitors with children in the household. And then third, that household income, that's bumped up about $6,000 since last year. Visitors typically travel to Reno Tahoe for leisure, to enjoy the lake and to gamble. So most travel to Reno Tahoe for vacation, followed distantly by those visiting friends and family. Overnight visitors were equally motivated to travel to Reno Tahoe to gamble and to see the lake. Most visitors arrived by using their own car, though 1 in 5 did arrive by airplane. Overnight visitors stayed on average 3.2 nights in market.
Where did that, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
Where did that used to be? What was it last year?
For your overall visitors, there's a slight trend down, so I would have to look in to see where this was year over year compared to last year for your overnights.
Okay.
Most visitors did stay at a casino hotel, though 1 in 5 stayed either at a non-gaming hotel or at a private home. Those are primarily your folks visiting their friends and family. And to note, more of the boomers are staying at your casino hotels. The average travel party size was 2.6 persons, with visitors most commonly traveling with another companion. A quarter of visitors traveled to the area with children under the age of 18. When in destination, visitors primarily went to downtown Reno, followed by Incline Village and Sand Harbor. When we look at this compared to 2023, pretty consistent metrics year over year in terms of where the areas where they went, but there is a 13 percentage point drop for downtown Reno.
I hope everyone heard that.
Going back, just make that effect. In terms of the top activities in the market, gambling, visiting the lake, and engaging in outdoor activities are those top activities. And those align primarily with their motivations for why they're coming to the area. Spending. So among our overnight visitors, the average daily spend per person was $273. That amount converts to $654 per party per day, accounting for 2.4 persons covered. If you want to extrapolate that out to, per party per trip, you kind of multiply that by the average length, which is that 3.2 shown on the slide. Now, visitors perceive Reno Tahoe as a vibrant, spirited, and outdoorsy destination. So we asked our visitors to rate how well Reno Tahoe exemplifies these 5 attributes or 5 brand statements. And overall, they agreed that Reno Tahoe is a vibrant atmosphere. It's a place to live life to the fullest. It has a spirit of independence. Now, we also asked our visitors to rate a set of attributes on how much or how important those attributes are when selecting a vacation destination. And later on in our survey, we asked them, well, how well does Reno Tahoe deliver on those same attributes? So what we are looking at here first is just how Reno Tahoe does. What are those ratings? What we can see here is those outdoor attributes. Those are rising to the top. But I do also want to point out that gambling, those family-friendly activities, those also received high marks. Now, busy slide, but let me break it down for you. The chart is mapping out the percent of visitors who rated each attribute as important when selecting a vacation destination, and that's that light blue line. And those attributes are ordered from most to least important. And the chart is also mapping that against the percentage of visitors who say Reno Tahoe is delivering on that same attribute. And that's that blue, dark blue wavy line. Take home message, Reno Tahoe is overperforming on most attributes tested, which is great. And these typically are including their outdoor attributes. So the attributes highlighted here, those are attributes that are considered important when selecting a vacation destination, and Reno Tahoe is doing well. They're overperforming on those attributes. And again, those are more of your outdoor oriented attributes. To note, Reno Tahoe is only underperforming on just 2 attributes, and that's good value for the money and having a variety of museums and art galleries. Now, visitors typically planned and booked their trip shortly before their intended arrival. Most started to plan their trip less than 2 months before their planned trip, and with an average planning window of 1.2 months. And they booked shortly following their planning period with an average booking window of 0.9 months. Visitors had a positive Reno Tahoe experience and they're likely to return. So overall, visitors reported high satisfaction with their trip experience. And when we look at specific satisfaction factors, quality of accommodations is rated higher than value for money and interaction with locals. Most visitors would recommend Reno Tahoe to others planning a visit here. And an even larger share said that they would be likely to return to Reno Tahoe for a future vacation. Okay, moving on to your brand health and ad tracking insights. So primary objective of this research is to really understand perceptions of the Reno Tahoe brand, as well as engage the effectiveness and impact of the current marketing campaign. So to address these objectives, we conducted an online survey with 1,600 target travelers. Now that audience is defined as adults aged 25 to 54 who have an annual household income of $100,000 or more, and they typically take at least 1 overnight vacation a year. For brand health, Reno Tahoe, again, is increasingly seen as an outdoor-oriented brand, yet its connection to arts and events could be strengthened. So similar to what we did with our visitors for our target audience, we asked them to rate a set of attributes on how important those attributes are when selecting a vacation destination. And then later in the survey, we asked them to rate Reno Tahoe on those same attributes. So the purple bars, this is the importance when selecting a vacation destination. Again, order from most to least important. And that wavy black line, that is Reno Tahoe's rating. So what you can see here, again, Reno Tahoe's overperforming on most of these attributes, and particularly the outdoor attributes that I've highlighted here. But to know there is some variety in how important those attributes are when selecting a vacation destination. However, Reno Tahoe underperforms on the attributes most important to your destination selection. And these also tend to be the attributes that are aligned to Reno Tahoe's desired brand. So that's around good value, welcoming atmosphere, ease of accessibility, unique local cuisine, and variety of museums and art galleries. Just to kind of put a fine point on this, when looking at just Reno Tahoe's ratings year over year, we see that in the box, several of the outdoor attributes are surpassing gambling, which was the #2 attribute last year. So this is really suggesting to us that there is, among your target audience, a broader sense of what Reno Tahoe has to offer beyond just casinos and gambling. But what we're also seeing here towards the tail end of the chart is that there's a need to bridge that connection to the arts and events, because those attributes tend to be rated lower year after year. Now, Reno Tahoe succeeds in communicating the destination's intended brand. So again, we asked our target audience to rate how well Reno Tahoe is exemplifying these brand statements. Overall, target travelers are agreeing that Reno Tahoe is a vibrant destination. It's a place where you want to live life to the fullest, and it has that spirit of independence. Moving on to our ad tracking section of these findings, I want to start by saying that when we look at the advertising effectiveness insights, these insights are focusing on paid aware travelers. When I say that, I mean these are target travelers who recall seeing at least one Reno Tahoe paid ad out in the wild. So of the 1,600 that we collected, 21% recalled in our survey that they did see a paid ad for Reno Tahoe. So looking at this subset group, you see that Reno Tahoe's advertising campaign is effective at both depicting the destination as an enjoyable place and strengthening those brand perceptions. So the paid aware folks, they really like the ad campaigns that they are seeing. They believe it's effectively portraying Reno Tahoe as a place that people would enjoy visiting for leisure. And when we look at those brand statements, they say that the campaign is successfully depicting Reno Tahoe on all of those 5 tested brand statements. Now, Reno Tahoe's paid advertising efforts motivate positive action. Most paid aware travelers took at least one positive action after being exposed to a Reno Tahoe brand, again, out in the wild. So the one thing I do want to say here, all of these items in the chart are positive actions, but a third booked a trip to Reno Tahoe after seeing an ad. And exposure to Reno Tahoe's paid advertising campaign correlates to higher levels of interest and intended visitation. In our survey, we asked target travelers to rate how interested they are in visiting Reno Tahoe in the next 2 years, as well as indicate their likelihood to visit in the next year. And what we can see here is that paid aware travelers are more likely to say that they are interested in visiting Reno Tahoe, 48% compared to 30% for your paid unaware travelers. And a similar pattern emerges where paid aware travelers are more likely to say that they booked a trip to Reno Tahoe at 26% compared to 11% for your paid unaware travelers.
Alex, can you define the unaware?
Yeah, so these are people who said in our survey, they don't recall seeing a paid Reno Tahoe ad.
So we paid for ads and we had the aware saw them, did not.
Right, and we just asked them in the survey, we show them a set of ads and a whole bunch of ads that are provided, and we just say like, hey, look at these ads, do you recall seeing any of them? And I say out in the wild, it could just be, in their everyday life. All right, and then moving on to resident sentiment. Again, the primary objective of this research is to understand Washoe County's perceptions of tourism and the impact that it has on their personal lives. So to meet this objective, we conducted an online survey with 400 Washoe County residents aged 18 and older. Residents have a positive perception about the local tourism industry and its impact on their personal lives. So in general, we see that residents, 55% of them actually feel that their quality of life will improve in the next year. And this is compared to 41% who say that they believe their quality of life has improved since the prior year. So what this is showing us is that residents are really optimistic about the future of their quality of life. Residents have positive perceptions about Washoe County's tourism industry, and they agree that it results in a better quality of life for themselves and their family. And when we look at these two metrics year over year, we can see that the tourism industry sentiment has remained relatively consistent year over year, so always room for improvement here. And then there's positive sentiment about the tourism industry's impact on jobs. This has improved compared to last year. So we asked our residents to rate how tourism impacts jobs. And what we see here is that most are saying that the local tourism industry is providing ample job opportunities. Yet only a quarter believe that those tourism jobs pay well. So this is suggesting that some residents might be hesitant to pursue these readily available jobs due to their perception that those jobs just have low wages. However, on the positive, all four of these statements, these have all increased since the prior year. And just to show you as an example, those ample job opportunities, that's increased 9 percentage points. Another key finding here is that tourism is seen as important to Washoe County's economy, and the industry is considered important to Washoe County's future. So again, we asked our residents to rate their level of agreement on a set of statements about how tourism is impacting the economy. And what we can see here is that tourism is important to Washoe County's economy now and in the future. However, I do want to point out that a third of your residents are also saying that Washoe County's economy may be too dependent on tourism. When we look at these metrics year over year, residents increasingly believe in the positive economic impact of tourism, yet that metric that the local economy or the local tourism industry may be too dependent on tourism, that's also increasing year over year. And finally, while residents express concerns about the impacts of tourism to the community, they also acknowledge the industry's many benefits. So we asked our residents to rate their level of agreement on how tourism is impacting their local community. There's a lot of statements here, but I want to focus on a couple. Well, one is that really, tourism is helping, bring in festivals and arts and culture events and sporting events. But they also are saying that that tourists are bringing lots of crowds and traffic to the area as well. So there's really a need here to balance these conflicting perspectives about the tourism's impact on the economy, on the community. And then finally, looking again, year over year, residents are increasingly see the benefits of tourism for the community, yet they are also more aware of the challenges it can bring. So really, there's some levers that you can pull here to help make those incremental increases in positive sentiment about how tourism is impacting the economy as well as the community. And I can pause here. I know there's a lot of information we just blitzed through. Happy to take questions for you guys have them.
Wonderful presentation. I don't think that we use this information enough to guide us. And the first of all, I wanted my ADB. Christina, congratulations. This is a huge testament to what you do. And I'll tell you why I believe that. I have sat on this board for 10 years or so, I don't know. And it is so different from where we started and where we are now. I remember being in the old building and we had very similar presentations and the outlook was not good. And I think one of the things that the RSCVA has done, and I think it really is a testament to you, is really embraced a new generation that wants to be outdoors. And the girls in the back are saying, yes, and you can see it by the demographics. I think this is some of the most important information that we have to give us guidelines. I really believe strategic plan should be directing this instead of, me saying, oh, I think we need more of X, Y, and Z. Like, these numbers are really the path, I think, to the map. And one of the things I want to ask you, Richard, and I even think at the city, I would love to see this presentation at the city, at the county, and because it gives us an idea of what we need to work on. Do you have anything like this at the airport?
No, and
Okay.
I would like.
That is the first thing. I cannot even begin to tell you how incensed that makes me, because it should be the same thing. And we should also be sharing this with them. When we have a presentation like that, they should be in the room or figure out how, because we pay for this information. This is a wealth of knowledge that we can all use and they can benefit from.
Yeah.
But I would say that we need to push the board to start thinking about these markers, because they're so telling on every level. And then I want to just point out, because you guys know how I feel about downtown, it says a lot about what people want to see, but they want to see that, but they also oftentimes want to stay outside of downtown as well, right? But it still makes an impression on every single one of us, because we're not large enough to say, oh, that's on the south side of Las Vegas. It doesn't work like that here. So I feel very strongly about downtown, and it shows you people want to go there and visit Tahoe. And so it's very stark. So when we talk about what we need to be doing in the region, it's right there. That's just my soapbox. But I think it's wonderful, and I want everyone to see this presentation and use it so that we can really leverage that. But we have really changed who we are. We have a vibrancy about us, a youthfulness about us, an edginess about us. And I love that we're really still staying, we have like the best of both worlds. We can be, classy and trashy at the same time. I'm just kidding, but I think we can be edgy and yeah, we can be, well, we like to call it gritty, right? If you're old, you say that, but if you're new, you say, or if you're younger, you say, quite honestly, it's, we have a very edgy environment. And I always say we play hard at night, but we play hard in the day too.
Yeah.
And that resonates with thrill seekers for sure, a younger demographic, but also older demographics. They want to be outside walking and enjoying amenities, and so they're both sort of colliding together, but we should take this and run with it, especially like our gaming partners. I would assume, do you guys have I would imagine you do a lot of these studies.
Well, it's hard to boil down. I think there's a lot of great information in this, and I agree with you on if we could almost boil this down to a road show of, just taking the high points of what, I don't know if it's Rotary clubs because I think there has been a momentum shift. I know Glenn and John are on the call, but I feel, and we may all disagree, the three of us on this, but I feel we're getting folks into the funnel, right? And I can even sing that age every time I keep pestering you, because I think last year it dropped considerably to the point where it was like, is that a one-off? Because that was a pretty major variation. It held 46. It's not, to me, it's like you're kind of in a sweet spot. So I think there's a lot of, where I was going with it from a gaming property standpoint is our job, I feel this organization is to get that funnel filled. We'll find the players, we'll find the folks that want, I mean, it's apparent, people know we have gambling and that's on their high, but it's our job as operators to get them into our databases, get them comfortable with our offerings. But we want that mix of it. On the flip side, I'm not giving you a pass. It's like, it's on you guys, this group. We gotta get the funnel filled with, in our eyes, 21 and above, we prefer. But we also get the family. I mean, we know that, hey, the family traveler's gonna fill seats on the plane. I mean, I love seeing those. The one thing I'm just gonna use it as my time to kind of ask the question. It would be great to get some of those really key metrics, length of stay, some of the demographics, the age, how did it change? If we get 3 or 4 years of that, to just kind of see where did that go? Did it drop? Did it?
Yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, it didn't show prior years.
And we do, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
we do develop a key findings one sheet that I was gonna present that to this board today, but in the essence of time, I'm hoping to go to the next board meeting. So we take all of these, we do compare them to year over year, and we develop that key findings one sheet. And we actually, as we go out and do our community presentations, that's my first slide under the marketing section is we have a visitor profile study and these are our key findings. So we try to get that out in the community as much as possible, but to your point, it's such a valuable resource that so many people I feel can leverage because we have the best of the best doing this research and it touches so many different entities in our community. So
I feel like it should be a big stage.
Yeah. Just one last point, and it actually ties exactly to this screen. I thought what was really interesting on it was the none of the above is 17%. I mean, it's number 3.
Yeah.
Right? So there's obviously other reasons that we aren't tapping. Yeah, or that we're just not aware of. And again, it might be, I was starting to wonder that's wondering about convention business.
That's a good segue. Yeah.
Yeah, families are great. Maybe it's just visiting family, but anyway.
That's a good segue, Stephen. Can we go back to slide 31 for a minute? Because I want to look at that one. That's the one that Hillary referenced with that in there. It is. Yeah. So I had an opportunity to review this in the last couple of days when Mayor sent it out. And what concerned me was sort of to Stephen's point is if I look at the change in percentage and I looked at downtown, I'm like, okay, well, where did we lose it to? And it was none of these things on here, right? That these things, when you start adding and subtracting, you take the 13 points that downtown lost, the 1 point that Incline lost, the flat in Lake Tahoe, San Harbor, you don't get back to where you were, which tells me one of two things. Either there are places that they visited that we didn't tally, or they visited less places, back to the previous slide that discussed value, right? And the lack of value. So were people they were making priorities on what they visited in order to maximize their wallet, or are there things that we just didn't tally that perhaps we could have, should have?
This is showing general, like regional areas here, and this is kind of a select all that applies. So it's not so much that downtown's losing as much visitation, just people are just not, are spreading, they may be spreading where they're going to different areas that maybe we're just not tracking right now.
Yeah. Okay. That's your belief that there are places we're not tracking in here. Because like I said, if you add them all up, you're minus, I think it's 16 or something, or 18 points that we're missing here that didn't get picked up by the other areas.
Yeah, and just to call out, these are recall versus geolocation tracking. So this is, we asked them, did you visit Reno's Midtown District? And we're asking our visitor, do they even know what Reno's Midtown District is? I mean, that's a question. So those are things that we are looking at is, do they think that they visited downtown? Do they think they visited the Midtown District? Whether they did or didn't, we have geolocation data that we track actual cell phones and where they're actually going, but this helps us color in, do they think they went to downtown? Where do they kind of put the boundaries of downtown? Do they think they went to the Riverwalk District? Do they think they went to all these places that we listed above? So,
Or the brand penetration of these areas, frankly, right? Do they have the brand awareness of what downtown is and what incline is in Stan Harbor?
And
Yeah.
that's the point. It's really great that you guys have that mobile geolocation data to really triangulate and add color. So you're putting multiple data sets together to provide more value for your guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Vice Chair. Real quick, I love this data every year because it just tells us so much about the visitor profile. But what I'm even more excited about is the resident sentiment, because since I came on this board, I've been DI indoctrinated about, you've got to make sure your residents know who you are, know what you're doing, and know why it matters. Why does tourism matter? We don't, most locals like, well, we don't go downtown, we don't go into a casino. But that, and they don't understand maybe really the benefit of tourism, but your surveys here are showing the opposite, are showing a different trend, and it's increasing. And that's like really that awareness through social media, through everything we're doing, we must be doing something right so that people who live here are going, yeah, you know what, tourism does benefit me. I don't go to a casino. I live here and I work here and I raise my kids here, but how does this apply? And when they understand the tax benefits, the economic impact of the tourism coming in, you don't have to go to the volleyball or track meet, but the money they bring into your community is the economic impact of every event. It's airline seats and it's also heads and beds, but it's bigger than that. And I'm glad to see, and I was excited to see that those numbers are up. So we're doing a good job so that locals understand and then they can buy into what we're doing here as well as our tourists. Thank you.
Thank you. Great presentation, great information. Christine, can we coordinate with Natalie and get this presentation at the airport board? Because I think the airport board, we need to hear this.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. Secondly, as incoming president of the second largest Rotary in Northern Nevada here, I would like if talk to afterward.
So big.
Well, but I am gonna throw something in there. It happens to be Sparks Rotary.
You're so fancy.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. But I'd like to coordinate with you, see if we can make a presentation to Sparks Rotary. We've got about 120 members, but also coordinate with Downtown Rotary. Reno Downtown Rotary has about 130 members. So between those two groups, you got over 250 people. And I think this kind of information is valuable. So if we can kind of coordinate all this, but I think the airport needs to see this. And if possible, even at our next meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt. Even on that airport point, we have a stat where I think it was 25% came to the airport. We can always cut the data too by those who say they flew in to the airport and just look at the data.
That's exactly what we want.
Yes, definitely.
And we should partner on this, and they should, I assume, paying for half the study. And when we present it, it should be really a broad level, right? Because there's a lot of people from agencies to gaming properties to cities that can all benefit, from this. So as a matter of fact, you might want to pull in a couple other partners and really make a big deal about this information, because we can all use it as a driver. And what I would also say is that first impressions count, last impressions count. And when a visitor has a bad experience, it doesn't matter where it is, because we are small enough to where it resonates, and they say, I'm not going back to that destination. Even if they stayed at the Atlantis, but they came downtown and had a bad experience. And that really, it does really resonate. So that's when we talk about regionally, we can't be like, here's my little, my little domain and nothing else matters. That's why all of it together. Because the other thing that stood out at 15% is outdoor activities, and that's why I wanted Shelley here at the table, because she is the queen of that. But it shows where we can really improve. And then I wanted to bring up, there was another study, and I bet Stephen, you could speak to this. Was it like in Gaming Magazine I was just reading, and how, you know, it was 37% that gaming is really part of the whole pie of our economics of the state of Nevada. Am I right? Did you read that? Or we just.
I thought maybe where you were going with it was gaming revenue versus non-gaming. There's been a shift statewide where non-gaming, right, has actually exceeded gaming and for properties. Gaming sold a major piece, but especially as the southern resorts, right? Your high-end resort experience. They're getting it outside of the casino.
You know, I would say though, we are different up here, like we have a little bit different economy, I think, in the north. And so we have to be so careful about how we compare ourselves to the south, because I hear all the time, people really, really want to game. They just want to, you know what I mean? They love to gamble, but they also love to be outdoors. I think we really get the flex of that. I would say, and I'm just going to speculate that Southern Nevada gets more of an entertainment flex. And I think we get more of the outdoors gaming, the all-encompassing experience versus when you're in Vegas. Like, I just hear it a lot where people are like, yes, we went to entertainment, but they also, I think they feel like it's very expensive and they feel a little boxed in, where here, I think they're feeling like they get more for their value because they're outside, they're experiencing outdoors, we have amenities like that. But gaming, I hear it all the time when I travel, gaming. So I just think this should be the holy grail of what we do. All right, go ahead.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Madam Chair, and I would love to have this at the Board of County Commissioners, but maybe Christina, you would present, so you don't.
Yeah, I certainly can.
You're wonderful, but I'm assuming you don't live here. We'll just put you up, and have you present on for the whole month of April, but, thank you, it's a great presentation. I think we need to think about the idea of being inclusive and friendly. That seems to be an issue, although there was another, I'm trying to find the slide where it said we were inclusive and friendly. So anyway, but that we gotta think that through and what that means in Reno and tell every resident to put a smile on their face. I have no idea, but anyway.
Yeah.
And then the value for your money, I don't understand that either, because I find it to be it's expensive to live here. I'm not saying it's not, but then to travel, when you travel other destinations, I feel like we're pretty reasonable. So I don't know what that is all about.
This is the second year that it's stood out as well. And
do they think we're just cheap? We should be cheaper because we're Reno and there's like a
We
perception.
actually, when we went through the presentation, I asked that same question, and because it's 2 years in a row, are they focusing on specific areas that they feel the value, like is it resort fees, right?
Yeah.
Because resort fees have escalated, gone high, and continue to go higher, and they feel like there's no value in the product that I'm getting, what included in the resort fee. We just don't know that it'd be nice to be able to dig a little deeper to understand, because from a travel destination perspective, you know, is it airfare? It's expensive to get here from an airport standpoint.
And that's
once
what's
you
an
get here,
accessibility. It's not.
once you get here, the rooms, the food and beverage, the entertainment aspect are very good. So the matter is really digging a little deeper, I think.
But I would also say, when you come to the board, if you could explain the offset that tourism provides to this destination and how if we could improve our tourism numbers, we would all benefit, because I think, you know, traveling down to Las Vegas and talking to my counterparts, the county commissioners down there and the city council members, they have almost half their budget is C-tax.
Yeah.
And we have a quarter of our budget is C-tax, and half their budget is C-tax because of the tourism element that they have down there. So we could do better and we could all see that benefit. And so thinking that through with the data that you have, I don't know how we can mix that together.
Absolutely.
Just a thought to present to the board. And then I was one more thing, Travel North Tahoe, you're finishing your strategic planning process or an evaluation of your strategic planning process. And I think you should come and share that information to us because there's opportunity to align and use your data as well, because
Absolutely.
we're sharing. We're sharing the, destination with people and we want to make sure that we're aligning and working together. So that's all I have. Thank you.
I know, because this data does show how important Lake Tahoe is to the people that.
Yeah, we need to
live
be
here.
talking to each other.
Okay, all right. Any further questions? None? Okay, I guess we just need to accept the presentation. No action? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I know you probably miss us very much, so you can move right back. But no, you live in a great destination too, so you can always visit us. We'll take your money anytime.
Childcare where she lives.
Oh, there you go. You know what, matter of fact, what did stand out, you mentioned childcare, but what did stand out is how many visitors are coming with children. And one of the things that I hear a lot, because I talk to a lot of people that visit here from other municipalities or other, economic development opportunities or whatever, that they go to your arcade all the time. What are you doing in there? Is it like someone said it's like throwback and it's super. Yeah, that's what it is, yeah. So.
The parents are.
Right, the parents are in there, but I think that's something to be mindful of is the children that are also visiting our destination.
Yeah, and we have different age groups, our younger minor teenagers, and we were saying we can't think of a reason not to. It's a wonderful destination for families of
We love that.
age groups, so.
Yeah, we love that. Okay, good. All right, you guys, thanks so much. Great job. Okay, Madam Clerk. Where do you need us?
Item B2.
All right, I'm gonna send it over to Mr. Larragetta, but then we're gonna hand it over to Lori.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, so excited to share with the board, Mike, I'll get it for the record first of all. Excited to share with the board that the RSCVA just conducted. It's might be the first ever, it's definitely the first in a very long time, an entire employee survey with all employees within the organization. And this was spearheaded by our Director of Human Resources. And so I'd asked her to share the results of that survey with the board today.
Thank you. I'll start by saying this is going to be a tough act to follow, following future partners.
Yeah.
Part of our survey involved using a very simple, inviting platform, easy to use, easy to understand. So I also am very happy to share the results with you, and I'll just briefly walk you through our timeline.
Maybe.
There
you go.
Oh, so we started the survey work in January. We launched it on the 22nd. The survey closed on February 2nd. We shared our results with our president and CEO on March 6th. And since then, we've been meeting with every department, sharing the results with each individual department. And today we're happy to share the results with you. And then our future actions would be to help each department create action plans based on the results. So we'll just. It helps if you turn it. So really, what did we want to learn about? We really wanted to gain insights into our workplace culture. Do we collaborate well? How is our communication? Are our employees happy, productive, thriving? And then also, what are our opportunities? Where do we need to grow and improve? And so why measure happiness? Because that is what we measured. The happiness factor really represents positive emotions, fun, a sense of purpose, and we know that this positively impacts our bottom line. And this is just the introduction. So overall in the organization, these results are fantastic. It's how our employees feel working at the RSCVA. And you can see that 96% of our employees feel either very happy, excuse me, or satisfied. And then if you look just a little bit down, you can see the number of employees. So we have 160 employees, And 116 of those responded, which gave us a very high 73% response rate. And so really what makes RSCVA stand out as a great place to work? Some of the benchmarks that we compared ourselves to were in happiness, satisfaction, and unhappiness. The comparative data was used from the National Institutes of Health, who compared all workplace surveys asking employees if they felt happy at work. And so you can see that when we compare, we excel in areas of happiness and satisfaction, and we are 17% below average in unhappiness at work. And so really, what does this mean? We've got 84% of our employees are very happy or happy, and 12% are satisfied. We're now recognized as a certified amazing workplace, which represents a workplace that is known for its positive work environment, and employee satisfaction. We'll be sharing this also on social media, and we'll be celebrating with our employees through a special announcement following this meeting. And so at a quick glance, you can see that we excel virtually in every category with an opportunity for improving communication and finding more work-life balance. And you also can see that when we score high in most areas, there's a direct correlation to high productivity and a low risk of turnover. And so these are our top 3 high scoring conversation topics: empowerment, belonging, and enjoyment. So in the area of empowerment, and I know it's a little hard to see on the screen, but I know you have it in your packet. Empowerment is really having the tools, resources, and support from those around us in order to get the work done, and the freedom to make choices about what we can improve. And, I'd like to take a minute to just really look at that number. We've got 99.1% of our employees expressing happiness around that. Same with belonging, very high up. 97.4% of our employees feel that they belong, which means they're feeling welcomed, respected, included. And I think it demonstrates how everyone, leadership, employees, everybody really takes the time to show each other that we care. And then enjoyment. Really what this demonstrates, again, a 99.1% number is extraordinary. And in the enjoyment arena, we love our product. We're happy with what we're doing, and we believe in the services that we provide. And so we move on to our top 3 opportunities. Communication was a very strong indicator. We saw it not just, across the organization, but every department is looking at this. Balance and rewards. So in communication, we can see from the data that our leaders are approachable, they're easy to talk to. Our opportunities really lie more in making sure that our teams are informed of what is going on across departments and within the organization as a whole. And, given that we have 5 different locations, it's not surprising that it could lend itself to this issue. But I think the positive side is that it demonstrates our employees are wanting more. They're not disengaged, they want more interaction, more communication, more desire to connect with other departments and other people. And we've already begun formulating ideas to improve this. And then we come to balance, which is an interesting topic, because that feeling of having enough time, not only to get our work done at work, but being able to do things more outside of work. So work-life balance, if you will. Here you do see a little dip where 87% of our employees are feeling, very happy or satisfied, but 13 are feeling like, maybe they have a heavy workload, or we're not getting to do things that we really would like to do outside of work. And then finally, our last opportunity is around rewards. And at first glance, this may look like it's about pay, But rewards can mean so many things to so many people. It can also mean receiving something other than pay, like appreciation, recognition, and feeling valued. And so, even just from an HR perspective, this item came up about our pay process being more clear, employees really knowing how to access information around benefits and rewards. So our next steps, as I mentioned, we're creating an organizational action plan, and then we plan to launch a follow-up survey within the next 90 days. This is just a sample of an action plan around communication. And then the platform that we currently have, these are future options for different surveys. So lots of opportunity there to learn many, many different things.
Hey, thank you so much. Whose idea was this? Fantastic. It's fantastic. I wish we would have had this actually, from the beginning and being able to measure it. Because I think this is exactly how you get productivity out of your work environment. Like a lot of times in this research shows that pay really doesn't have that much to do with how people perform. It's really that they perform for the people that they like to work with, the environments they work in. And if we could have just seen it, I think it really would have helped even the board make decisions, some serious decisions about maybe whenever, we had, I can't remember when it was, but we made people take pay cuts and things like that. And I think, when the overall health of, the mental health too of your team, it can help the board make better decisions on what we need to focus on. And high turnover costs a lot of money. So I think it's fantastic. And I can't wait to see what happens in 90 days. It's good, very good. So, okay, go ahead, Stephen.
What was the survey put out? Was it just online?
We haven't published it yet. You're the first.
No, to the employees.
To the recipient.
Oh, how was it put out?
Yeah.
And it is completely anonymous. So we originally had to provide all employee emails to the Amazing Workplace. It was put out through a company email to their work email address, but also they were able to do it with a QR code on their phone.
Yeah, I love that. I also think it shows that you're being transparent. I don't think the HR department has been transparent in the past, something I've had a real issue with. So bringing HR in to show you what that looks like, the overall health of it, I think makes me feel and others feel that we trust the HR department more than we have in the past.
And what I'm grateful for, I think the response rate was more than we expected. Excuse me, because I think that employees were a little frightened, quite frankly, to put information out there. And we learned a lot from the feedback and the comments. And I think that making it so public, we've invited all the employees specifically here on their Zoom call to hear about the results and really understand that it was such a positive experience. It's received so well, and that hopefully they'll just continue to be giving us feedback because really they're the ones that make all of it happen.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead,
Just
Greg.
quickly, I think the turnout was great, but the 27% that did not take the survey, what does the company say? Like, can you extrapolate any kind of information from the people that don't submit?
It's a great question, but I think because it's anonymous, it would be difficult to extrapolate, and really start asking people.
Yeah.
We can see maybe a trend in certain departments if we wanted to drill down that far. But honestly, it was such a great response. And, you have to remember that we have employees that have so many different schedules.
Sure.
And so, there just may be some employees that maybe, we have part-time employees, we have some that work swing shifts, night shifts. And so maybe, some of that fell through the cracks.
But
so it is
how
our
many of them
benchmark.
have access to your point, right, with the different schedules? How many of them are actually in an office working
Or
versus.
emails can be limited. That's why we did the phone as well and the QR code. But I also think, Madam Mayor and Greg, is that this first. I mean, well, this hasn't been done. I mean, I asked the team that have been here for decades and they don't recall us doing an employee survey to the entire organization. So we have to create a foundation.
No, because CEOs,
trust.
past CEOs were dead against it.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to really find out what the
We're
overall health
only gonna
was,
get better.
the
based on what our
horrific health
employees
of
tell
this
us.
organization was. I'm just calling it out.
Yeah, I agree, and I appreciate those comments, Mayor, and yes, so we know that this first run, and to Lori's point, we did not expect the results and the response to be this strong, because we have to earn their trust, we have to earn that the anonymous is real, it is anonymous, and there are no repercussions based on the feedback you provide as an employee. So we felt that at 73%, outstanding number, but we are confident with this leadership team and the supervisors that we have within this organization and the facilities, the response rates will only grow moving forward. It's good.
I think you've also, where all of us could really take advantage in our own businesses and what we do, is the authenticity of that. In the past, it was not authentic, it was forced for people to come to the table. And that makes a huge difference. If you're also watching in marketing, and Christina knows this, people now want to see a face with the brand, so they want to see the owner. Remember, Baronzoni did that so well with, that was his name, right? With the Sands. People, they're saying that is coming back full circle. People want to see authenticity and in what they do. They also don't want to see over glamorized shots now. They want it to be relatable. And I think that's made a huge difference versus, making people come with a bag lunch versus maybe taking them out to lunch on you. Right. And so I think those kinds of things make a difference, and it shows in your participation. And I think, Charlene, you've done a really good job of being super supportive and driving that on the leadership side.
Thank you.
Because I know that's like your talent, your secret talent, your secret talent, and you showed up, and I appreciate it. So good job. Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you.
What do you need from us? It's just a report, no action.
No action. Yep, thank you.
Other than we'll see you in 90 days.
Yeah, and Lori, great job. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yes, great job. Great job, Lori.
Appreciate it.
Good job. Okay. Madam Clerk, where would you?
D3.
D3, okay.
I tried to go a little while.
It's all you. And then we gotta,
with our.
we're way over our time. I'm
I
not
know,
happy about
I
it.
know.
Richard is now
I'm gonna
winning our
go-
bets,
I'm gonna
so.
go very quickly, and
So-
leadership update is only myself and Ms. Jager who will
Okay.
provide the January numbers. And
Perfect.
I will go very fast through mine. So as I always do, first of all, again, for the record, Mike Larigetta, every month we recognize our Spotlight Award winner, Employee of the Month. And I received the following quote from the Spotlight Awards winner supervisor. This individual has been at the National Bowling Stadium for over 30 years, and his institutional knowledge is unmatched. He has kept our video wall up to date with the most unique and colorful signage, and spends countless hours making sure our clients know have exactly what they want to see when they enter the fourth floor and are introduced to our 450-foot video wall. This past year, he has been instrumental in upgrading and enhancing the Hall of Fame, the theater, and the Stadium Club. It is a great way of achieving high-cost goals at a very affordable prices by researching the product and looking into the future of the item's technological specs and its longevity. He has tremendous pride in his work and does all he can to ensure that National Bowling Stadium is the premier bowling center in the world. The February Spotlight Award winner is our Technical Operations Senior Manager, Mr. John Morris. We recognized John last week, did a great job. He's been here for 31 years, I believe, right? So moving right along into the RSCVA has submitted requests for proposals for our agency of record and media buying services. So we've established the following timeline, and I want to share that with the board. So on March 13, request for proposals were available, and on March 27th, the question submissions will be due. Responses to those questions issued are due on April 1st. Submissions deadline and bid opening will both take place on April 22nd. Interviews of the finalists based on the bids that were received will take place in early May. And then on May 22nd, that board meeting, contract recommendations will be made to the board for vote and approval, we hope. So that's the goal. The other thing that we are working on, which you're all very well aware, is our 3-year strategic plan. Again, I wanted to share the timeline that's been established. In this process, in early February, we did a kickoff meeting on strategy who we engaged to assist in writing the 3-year plan. On February 26th, we held our quarterly stakeholder meeting where we had tremendous feedback from the community, held it at the convention center, all questions relative to the 3-year strategic plan initiatives, objectives, and goals. On March 10th, on strategy and senior staff input and processing took place here at our building. Again, very similar questions, data all put into a queue. And then the past week and a half, we have held individual board meetings, again, interviews with On Strategy, sharing again, very similar questions. And then we will come together on April 25th, a senior staff. We will take the data that we gathered from the stakeholder meeting. We will take the data gathered from senior staff, and we will take also the feedback and data received from each individual board member. And we will take our tremendous effort in putting together the first version of the 3-year strategic plan. And then on May 22nd, the strategic plan we presented to the board of directors for review and feedback at our board meeting in May. And based on recommendations, changes, modifications to that plan, we will come back at the June board meeting and present the final 3-year strategic plan for approval. We have completed, as I shared with you in pre-boards in the last board meeting, we're using today to provide a recap of year 1 of our indoor track season. We've completed, obviously, the inaugural indoor track season. Year 1 was successful, producing 12,790 room nights, 5,894 registered athletes, over 130,000 in revenues, which was generated from parking concessions and admission fees, and an economic impact of $6,269,263. It's worth noting that the 12,790 room nights was generated by the participating athletes, coaches, trainers, and staff. This room night number does not include families, recruiters, media, or indoor track bands. The room night number would increase by approximately 10 to 15% if we included all who attended indoor track meets from outside the market. We also received tremendous local, regional, and national media coverage. In year 1, there were 85 plus stories with a reach of over 134 million, with an ad value of 1.4 million and 100% target key messaging. Local media coverage of our first season was a priority for our leadership team, and Shelley and her team wanted to thank our local PR agency, Good Giant, and recognize local TV stations, KOL, KRNV, KTVN, and from the print side, Nevada Appeal, the Reno Gazette-Journal, and Nevada Sportsnet for their support in attending our grand opening event and covering several of our indoor meets. We also received national coverage from BizBash, Sports Business Journal, Sports Travel Magazine, Fansided, and Runner's World, our marketing team, and both, again, our local and national public relations agencies of record, Good Giant and Decker Royal, assisted in securing 2 key journalists at the grand opening event. Both journalists published feature stories hitting 100% key messaging. We always focus on room nights, room revenue, and room tax, but we also need to recognize the impact the indoor track has on local businesses. Here are a few endorsements we received from local businesses in the Convention Center District that saw their respective businesses impacted by the indoor track meets. Nate Harris, who is a regional operator for Dutch Brothers, said, and I quote, so this is his words, "We always take notice when big events come into town. When the convention center is popping, we at TV are ready to rock with you. The addition of the new track facilities at the convention center brought more customers to us as neighbors, and we had the privilege to meet athletes and families from all around. With a variety of tournaments that are already routinely hosted at the convention center, such as volleyball, basketball, and track and field, fit right in to bolster our business and bring new faces to our community." Sabrina Engelken, hope I pronounced that right, Sabina, is the director of catering for Famous Dave's Barbecue, stated, and I quote, "The influx of out-of-town visitors for volleyball and track and field events at the Reno Sparks Convention Center has given our business a noticeable boost during our slower months. With the surge in reservations for the upcoming volleyball tournament, we're excited to serve them delicious BBQ and provide top-notch customer service." Year 2 is off to a tremendous start. Shelley Fine and Donnie Nelson have done an outstanding job in securing 11 indoor meets as of today. Again, 8 last year. We have 11 contracted events already, 1 pending meet, which we're very confident will close to take us to 12, and 3 open weekends, which I know Shelley's gonna fill as well. So the goal, we have 12 pretty much contracted, and the goal is to get to 15, which would nearly double our performance and production in year one. I'm also pleased to announce that Reno Tahoe and the RSCVA have been selected to host the 2026 Mountain West Men's and Women's Indoor Track and Field Conference Championships, February 26th to 28th, and the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation Conference Championships, February 28th through March 2nd. Schools from the Mountain West, obviously, we're very familiar with because that is the conference that Nevada currently sits in. But I just want to mention some of the schools in the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation. They include Cal State Fullerton, Hawaii, Long Beach State, Oregon State, Pepperdine, USF, UC Irvine, UC Riverside, and Washington State. So tremendous representation from Power 4 and Power 5 universities. In conclusion, I wanted again to share the Hit the Ground Running campaign video we introduced at the grand opening event and have used this past year to promote indoor track and field. I feel it's a great way to end my update. If it plays. We have volume? Maybe.
Why do we run? What drives us out in the quiet morning? Through the heat, the cold, the grind. Through the long days and longer nights. Maybe it's the search for something deeper. Not a finish line, but a space to be free. Running is more than a routine. It's a calling. We run to challenge our limits, to prove ourselves. Every breath, every stride connects us to something bigger. A community bound by movement. Along desert paths, up mountain peaks, we find energy in the terrain. We run to see, to hear, to feel connection with the world around us. It's the escape from the noise, from the rush. It's our time for reflection and exploration. It's to chase the fleeting moments where exhaustion turns to triumph and the mind becomes still.
Yeah.
So why do we run? We run because we must. We run because we can.
These are really great.
It's very amazing.
That's fantastic. I think it was,
Pardon me, Jay, real quick,
Really good.
quick update on January and then.
Just real quick,
Yeah,
I feel like I'm just like broken, right?
no, just keep, I
No,
want everyone to have dialogue.
it's a positive. I think really Shelley and Mike, I mean, real, year one of anything is tough. Year one of getting a track installed and all the moving parts. Yeah. Do you think, so 8 events this last run, getting the 12, 13, it looks like it's about, I guess what my question is once we're maxed out on weekends,
Yeah.
Phil, are meets able to grow more as far as, so like how many teams? So what we right now looks like about 1,500 room nights per
Yeah.
meet. Is that something you think that more teams were able to come?
So maybe I'll tee it up and I'll let Shelley finish because she really obviously lives and breathes every single day. But this is obviously something I'm very passionate about, involved in. So Sharon and I talk about this daily, I think. But when we met with the University of Nevada and we were programming their meets for year 2, one of the questions I asked the representatives from the athletic department was, what is your vision? What are your goals in growing? And are we going to be seeing invitations to your meets from larger Power 4 universities from the Midwest and the East Coast? And they absolutely, that is their goal and objective. So the Pacific Coast Association, did I say that right?
Pacific Association.
Pacific Association does bring more athletes than the collegiate meets, but Nevada is confident that they can grow to those sizes. So yes, if we broke it down by meet, Stephen, you would see the Pacific Association doing anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 athletes, depending on the meet and the weekend. And then the collegiate meets are anywhere from 500 to 1,200. The goal is to get all of them in that 2,000, north of 2,000 range. And again, not only just right now, we are relevant in the West Coast. The goal year 2 and moving forward is to be relevant throughout the entire country.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch, in particular to Mike's point on the collegiate level. It'd be interesting to watch those collegiate budgets as they shift and change. There's a lot going on in that world. But on a collegiate level, everyone wants to run on different tracks and fast tracks. And so in many instances, those elite athletes want to come to a higher elevation.
Yeah.
Because they can post quick, faster times.
Yeah.
So I think we also get closer to being able to bid on national championships, indoor national championships, masters national championships, things like that. That will also not only increase room nights, but increase the awareness. Because there's a certain nuance, if you will, of wanting to always run on the best tracks in the US. So I think that we're definitely on the trajectory to do that. We're on track.
Yeah, we could do Reno Tahoe, the natural steroid. Right? That's well, that's why they do that's why they do that.
Natural.
It's a natural steroid,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
That concludes our update.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay.
Alright, all of my portion.
Oh, sorry. This time,
Sorry.
the most important was money.
Yeah, Bigger question in finance. For today's portion of the senior staff update, we wanted to provide the board with an overview of January 2025 tax statistics as well as year to date. And I know we're running low on time, so I will move through this quickly. Here we have a summary of tax statistics for January 2025. As you can see, January was up 14.4% compared to the prior year. It was also ahead of budget. This increase was driven by a 9% increase in cash occupied rooms. And we also saw a 5% increase in overall cash rates compared to the prior year. Here we have year-to-date room tax statistics through January. As you may recall, we started to see a softening of room tax revenues over the last few months compared to what we've been experiencing post-pandemic. Year-to-date, total taxable room revenues are 2.8% below the prior year and 3.6% ahead of budget. And year over year in total, we are expecting more of a downward trend as we move through the rest of the fiscal year. Here we have total tax revenue by tax district for January 2025. We observed consistent increases by tax district across the board for this month. Here we have year-to-date room tax revenue by tax district. Overall, the district with the largest percentage decrease is Reno D, which is down 8.2%. And overall, Washoe County is showing a slight increase in total. We wanted to go into a bit more detail on the statistics by market segment. As I mentioned, for January, overall ADR increased compared to the prior year, and this was a consistent trend across the larger segments. And regarding occupied rooms, the increase was largely driven by hotels, which saw an 11.9% increase in cash rooms. Very quickly, and that wraps up this portion of the presentation.
Great, good job. Okay, questions? No? Okay, I feel like I'm losing you. We got it. Everyone's gotten so used to go. So, okay. Do you need anything from us? No? Okay. All right. So Madam Clerk, I believe we're going to item F. Correct? Okay, I'm gonna hand it over to Mr. Richard J. What does this say? President of the Rotary Club.
Yeah, Vice President-elect.
He made sure I had his card.
I still believe in business cards.
I love it.
Okay, two things real quick. Airport update. On behalf of the airport, we want to thank RSCVA for the support of our new Austin flight via Southwest. Great presence, Christine, Mike, that you were there. We had just great showing up, so really thank you. We had a great gate experience. Southwest didn't really want to do a big press release, so that's okay. But we had live music, giveaways, treats, and everything like that. Next day, we had the Austin route formally beginning. Frontier also began nonstop to Vegas and Denver. Last week, JSX announced it's bringing back service to Vegas and bringing a new service to Carlsbad, California. That's good. Spring break has been busy. Parking has been tight. We're working on a project right now on giving Uber credits. And we'll have more to report on how that worked. We're just pushing the message out there really hard to say, parking's tight, but you know, everything's moving forward. The ground transportation center is started. You'll see that going vertical at one point. So, you know, the light is at the end of the tunnel. It's not an oncoming train. It's more parking out there. So we're hoping that we have yet to turn a car away for parking. And we're also going to go into a reserve system for parking. So you'll be able to call up, reserve a parking space, and it'll be up on the second floor. So we're going to experiment with that and see how that works. So all this is in works. The second thing I want to ask for the chair is to put on the agenda is 2 years ago when I came on this board, I had a plan and a vision for Pembroke Fields. We are so short of fields, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And right now, there is really no plans to build anymore. We're gonna have an opportunity. What I'd like to ask the chairman is that we put a committee together to help develop Pembroke. It's been 2 years now, we really haven't done anything. Work with the city of Reno, and we gotta get this thing going because we are missing out on so much revenue, and Shelley will attest to that. How many calls do you get asking if we can host these large flat field tournaments?
Yeah, it's been, the shows, they're there.
They're there.
And the sports tourism aspect is so massive, and we're missing out on so many. I hear it all the time, people are going to California all the time, and one thing, Charlene, that's really impressive is your flat fields. Those look like they bring in
Golden Eagle.
Golden
You
Eagle.
guys do great out there.
29 million.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's been-
we should be in the game.
Economic impact.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You're booked 50 weeks of 52 out there.
Mhm.
And not that we take anyway, because anything would
Local and
be.
incoming.
Yeah,
It's a combination of both.
But that survey should prove that that is where we should be driving.
and we wouldn't be pulling anything from you guys because anything that did come over there, you're overflow. So you'd be able to pick up even more. So it's such a huge, we could put 10 fields out there. We can host these bigger tournaments. So I'd like to have a committee put together and we need to start developing this now. We've got to stop kicking the can down the road and we've got to get this happen. Don't know what's going on with Mill Street. That's a floodplain, but we've got 95 acres out of Pembroke. That's just ready to go.
Yeah, so that's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
The flood.
The Mill Street?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
But, so what I'll do is happy to put it on. And then also, I will take it to the city of Reno forward as well, for partnership.
Yeah,
Because
we've got to do it.
it would also preserve those, floodplains that we don't want, other things happening. Outdoor.
Yeah, we want outdoor space. The survey shows it. We're scratching the surface of that. It's gonna bring, heads and beds, butts and seats.
Mhm.
Simple fact, because an average large flat field tournament, whether it's soccer or lacrosse, has anywhere from about 60 to 70% of the teams coming in from out of state. We know people want to come up here. They like going to Vegas. Vegas has a tournament down there that brings 2,000 teams in each weekend. Mayor's Cup.
And we could utilize both fields,
Oh, we could use.
leverage that.
Absolutely, because you gotta use multiples, you have stay and play programs, work a deal, when stay and play real quick is that you have to stay at a contracted hotel. Otherwise, you can't participate in the tournament. You work a deal with the, various hotels around here and say, okay, this is what we're gonna do, so you're gonna have guaranteed people
Yeah.
coming in. It works, and Shelley knows that better than anybody else.
And the numbers, that's why I brought up the youth and the children, the outdoors, they wanna see outdoor recreation. Parents wanna gamble at night, in the day they'll hang out with their kids. Are you hearing that, Shelley? Tell me.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
and we're a wonderful destination from soccer to softball and baseball and volleyball so we're flourishing and we can only flourish more with more venues.
Yeah.
We need
Charlie's
50
right,
fields.
Golden Eagle is booked, packed.
Yeah.
I wish I could get more time from.
How many fields could we, because you've looked at that space.
I've got the numbers, we could put 10 full-size fields out there, 120 by 80, but in a tournament, you don't use all 10 full-size. So you divide them in half for the younger groups. So if we can figure correctly, we can put 22 fields out there for a tournament.
Okay, perfect. And then I also would like to put on, for an agenda item, there's a general services agreement, many of you probably didn't know about. It was created, I think, 26 years ago on microfiche. And so I would like to have a discussion and look at opening up that contract. It's a general services agreement between the city of Reno and the RSCVA. And I really dug my heels into looking at that contract and looking at the history of how we came to be with those properties and the finances that go into them. And to be honest with you, it's not a pretty picture. So we really need to open up that discussion here at the board. It's on microfiche, it's that old.
Wow.
And when you just, I think as an attorney, you would shake your head going, wow, what an agreement this is. Because I'm not an attorney and I thought, wow, how do you have one side that gets like all of everything and the other side, like no say at all?
Good lawyers.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, that, and I want to ask the board, anything you guys would like to see, or any of you want to see anything on the agenda?
Do you want me to bring my microfiche?
Yeah.
Right?
What do you mean?
Yeah. Steven remembers, we're so old, Steven remembers what those look like.
No, the one thing I would, going back to your point on flat fields, Richard, is again, we've all heard through the years of the Mill Street plan and then
Yeah.
Pembroke and Rosewood, when that was going and somebody had access, I mean, and the ratio removing the rate of the soil.
I have so much.
So
my
I don't
brain
know if is there a way to do it for dummies, like just?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, flat field for dummies.
Yep.
Flood zone, you just give us like a good 10-minute walkthrough.
I've got a half-hour PowerPoint I could pull up right now if you want. No, yeah. But yeah, no, we can do it. I can write that easy. Shelley will help me volunteer there. So, but yeah, we can present that for you in, 5-10 minutes.
And
Dial it
I would
down.
ask the city to donate the land. I think it's really important. So,
95
I mean, we
acres.
keep talking about, and I think everyone thought Mill was gonna go, but
Believe it when I see it.
and this is a great opportunity, so if we really wanna add more recreation.
There's none.
Okay, that being said, thank you so much, Mr. J. Comments from the floor, which would be public comment. Nothing?
None at this time.
Okay, Richard J., I'm gonna ask you to make the last motion.
I move that we close this meeting.
All right, I second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you, everyone. 3 hours, that's not